Can you hear me, Deuce?
I got you now. Yes. You got us okay?
Can you say that one more time, Deuce?
I got you. Test, test, 1 2 1 2 1 2. Test, test,
That was me.
1, 2.
That was me.
Derp. Derp. Oh, hey, Car. What's up, bud?
What do you think about last night, man?
Oh, Carlin said it was rough.
Oh.
Is that how he said it?
Yeah, how did he say it, Chris?
Le rough.
Got Frenchie.
Like this. Then he'll start talking.
Okay, here we go.
You want to be on our...
Sactown Sports Headlines.
I'm Chris Verlade with your Sactown Sports headlines. Domantas Sabonis recorded his 12th triple-double of the season with 16 points, 13 rebounds, and 12 assists, but it wasn't enough for the Kings, who lost 132 to 109 to the Celtics last night. For more on last night's game, check out our Kings insider Frankie Cardicelli's recap on SactownSports.com. Kings are off until Friday when they host the Phoenix Suns. You can catch the game right here on Sactown Sports. Karl-Anthony Towns has been out for almost 4 months with a grade 3 calf strain. For the first time since November 28th, Cat is expected to suit up for the Minnesota Timberwolves against the Atlanta Hawks. Wolves are currently the 9th seed in the Western Conference with 36 and 37 record. And now it's time for Deuce and Mo.
Live from Sacramento.
It's Deuce and Mo
On Sactown Sports.
We are live. Happy Wednesday. Deuce, Mason, Morgan, Reagan, alongside our buddy Chris Watkins, who's back at the Sactown Sports Studios hanging out. Had to hang back today because I got Stockton Kings today, and it's prep time. It is insane right now. So we're at the Deuce and Mo Studios right now. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us on this Wednesday. Hi, Chris Watkins. How are you?
What up, y'all? Great. How are y'all doing?
We're good, man.
Morgan, how's
last
your
night.
face?
Thank
How's
you
it look,
for
Chris? Let's
asking.
be honest about
Okay,
it.
so one, you should honestly be nice about this, like nicer about this.
Oh, golly.
Yeah.
I am just joking around, Chris. Just trying to
Deuce,
keep
this
it
can
light
happen
today.
to anybody.
No, it can. I've been talking to more and more people that have like eczema on their face, and I'm thinking it's like just caused from flaring up from stress
Sure.
is what it
yeah.
usually happens. So I just don't usually have it on my face, and so I have a whole bunch of like steroid cream on my face. And thanks everyone for letting me be in a comfortable space to just truly be myself. I match my red crew neck that I have on. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Glad to
I'm
hear.
glad everyone's here to support Morgan. Do not make
Yes.
any jokes about it.
You can make jokes about it, but like you're just like, you're crushing quick. Yep. Choke and die. Choke and die.
Instant karma.
Oh, man, we got a lot to go over today. Some would say it's Christmas today.
Yes, it is.
We have Chris Watkins this hour. Then coming up later, we've got Chris Miles from NBA TV and Chris Biederman from the Sacramento Bee, who's doing a great job covering the Kings. So there's a lot to go over today. And, you know, it's an interesting day because the Kings all of a sudden have lost back-to-back games, and we are riding the ultimate highs, especially post-All-Star break. Consecutive losses. That wasn't a thing. Last night, the Celtics absolutely crushed the Sacramento Kings, especially in that second half, winning 132 to 109. Chris, I heard you talking about it, and I know it was a conversation with the media before the game and all that. It's a schedule loss.
Yeah.
It's a schedule loss. It's not an excuse. I love when people go, "Oh, you're making excuses." Look, even if the Kings were healthy, even if they had normal rest, the Celtics are going to be a tough team. But it was almost a perfect combination. The Celtics coming off a loss, Al Horford talking to the
Oh my
team after
God.
that loss, trying to get them refocused. And oh, by the way, the Kings playing a back-to-back, 5th game in 7 nights. Celtics were awesome.
I'm going to start.
Yeah.
Celtics had to play their best basketball, Chris, to win that game. And I think that's been the coolest thing about the last 2 times that the Kings have played really good teams in this league, the Bucks, the Celtics. Both those teams had to play way up
Right.
for the Sacramento Kings. And usually they're used to coming in, just rolling over. But it's been I feel like for both teams, it's been a game where they're like, okay, for example, the Bucks, Giannis was out the night before, but then was playing back against the Kings. And then for the Celtics, it was like Rob Williams' first game back. Okay, what can we do? Al Horford rallies everyone together. It's great that the Kings are becoming more and more respected, but like Mike Brown said, they're becoming more and more hunted too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Boston came out full force yesterday. They were ready to go from the jump. And to be fair, the Kings were as well. They've had a lot of slow starts, and that's something I mentioned on my show, is just like it felt like it was really competitive. It was, I don't know if it was a playoff like intensity, but there was definitely two teams that respected the hell out of each other. And they were going at it. They were going tick for tack. And I think Domantas Sabonis was clearly a matchup nightmare for Boston, the same way that Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown were matchup nightmares for the Kings. But the thing, I noticed last night was definitely just, it felt like Boston had a little bit more juice, wanted that game, as cliche as it is, they just wanted that game a little bit more. There was a specific play that really sticks out to me where it was a loose ball. De'Aaron and TD are both going for it. Grant Williams is also going for it. And it looks like De'Aaron and TD both individually have a better trace on the ball, but Grant Williams dives on the floor and gets it, and neither of those two guys dive. I mean, it's little plays like that where it's just, I don't know. I just can't get that play out of my head where it's like, that's a real difference between these two teams right now, just in terms of this game. But I definitely felt like the Kings are definitely, to your point, Morgan, getting really good teams respect around here.
And that's the thing that I love right now about this Kings team playing these teams late in the season. They saw them in the early stage of the season. Okay, what's that? What do those games look like? Now this team is clearly better. How are they going to match up? What kind of things are teams going to do against him? It was clear last night. The Celtics were like, we're going to put a wing. We're going to put Tatum on Sabonis. We're going to put Derek White on Sabonis. And they wanted to force Sabonis out. Sabonis still got his stuff inside, but then they're switching everything. And you could tell it really rattled the Kings. The off-ball movement wasn't good enough. The passing, the decision-making wasn't great because the Celtics are so good at switching. And there's not many teams around the league who could play defense like the Celtics.
No, in the way that they were locked in last night was, like we were saying, on a different level. And when Robert Williams is on the floor, it's their defense just goes up, up, and up. And you saw it happen last night, not only with him being there, his presence being there, but the adjustments that they made quickly after trying to put Al Horford on Kessler Edwards and then Jason Tatum on Sabonis. They're like, no, let's go back to what we know. And what they know well is switching. And their switching slowed the Kings offense down. It screwed with their movement. It ruined the flow. And I was telling Deuce this last night. I'm like, if you're any other team in the NBA and you're like, oh, we're going to take on the Kings in the playoffs, there's your playbook. There's the film you need to watch. Execute that. And it's not easy to execute.
No,
and that's why I'm not acting like anybody can do it against this Kings offense. But yeah, it's something that I would look at doing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Boston, to your point, is very kind of uniquely positioned with just the amount of length that they have on their team to really go to that big lineup. And they have really good, smart defenders. And a big part, that's something I really noticed last night was, when they were switching, it's just second nature to them. Like, they don't have to think. There's not really much communication that goes on. It's just, they just really know their defense. They know their principles. And that's what makes them so dangerous. And that's like that extra level that's kind of just above the Kings right now, is that they just know how to play with each other. And they really especially defensively, they can play defense without even communicating, just because they know their system so well. It's really hard to beat them. And then, you throw on the length and just their defensive versatility. It was a nightmare. It was really tough for the Kings, and you can see them trying to figure it out. Kind of was reminded of like LeBron when he was on the Heat and they put JJ Barea on him, and he just was like, this seems easy. I feel like I should know what to do, but it just, once you start thinking, it's just, once you stop playing naturally and just flowing, and you have to really think about the game, especially with the kind of offense the Kings run, I think it just kind of threw them off.
Oh, it totally threw him off. And something you said, Chris, is so accurate. Like these teams, we're talking like Milwaukee and Boston. You can even put Golden State up there too. They know everything about each other's games. Horford, Brown, Tatum, Smart. These guys have been playing together for years. I know Horford left and came back, but Horford's a high IQ guy, smart defensive player. Marcus Smart, a really good defensive player. Jalen Brown, a really good defensive player. Tatum has shown strides. He's long. They are so smart defensively. They know exactly where they need to be. They understand all the concepts. Oh, and then you add like a high IQ guy to the mix, like Malcolm Brogdon, who just knows how to play the game too. This team is super engaged. Oh, by the way, Robert Williams coming back last night. They've got length. The Kings are just learning each other. They don't have the same defensive personnel. Boston didn't just do this in 1 year, is my point.
Nope.
It's going to take the Kings time to kind of build this type of chemistry that teams like Boston and Milwaukee have.
And that's it, Deuce. I mean, and Chris, I said this to start this season. I was like, all right, Kings fans, we got to be patient. And everyone hates the word patience because obviously we've been patient long enough. But I think about when I was saying that at the beginning of the season, I was like, be patient. But like, if we're seeing good competitive basketball out there, competent basketball out there by the Sacramento Kings, like they're just going to build and develop off of it. So be patient. Well, their competence and the competitiveness and everything, they took 5 steps further than I could ever imagine a team to do in their first year with a new head coach and a brand new team. So they're already ahead of schedule. Now you're seeing how they compete against these really good teams. You're exactly right, Deuce. It's going to just like time and experience are going to be their best friends. Oh, and they're young, so they all have the time to really gain that type of experience.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Deuce. No, you go ahead. No, you go ahead.
We're working on this. Tomorrow's going to be clean. It's fine.
Well, we'll be in the same room, so yeah.
No, it's fine. I honestly lost my train of thought, but yeah.
No, it's fine. Something I was going to mention. So Al Horford, there's a piece in The Athletic today talking about the Celtics and that win last night. And the way they were describing it is almost the most locked in they've been in a game recently.
Wow.
Like for sure recently. And they're talking about offensively and defensively. And I guess Horford had a conversation with the team. It wasn't like he ripped her or anything, just kind of like, hey, it's time to wake up. According to The Athletic, Horford preached to the Celtics that it's time to ramp things up before the playoffs and they can no longer afford the little mistakes. Robert Williams said Horford addressed teammates about the need to be able to talk to each other, accept criticism, and not let problems linger. Horford said after the game, we just had to be ourselves. We stepped up to the challenge. We understood that Sacramento is a really good team, and we needed to bring that type of game to win tonight. That's what you need to take away. This Boston Celtics team's like, hey, we can't go through the motions against Sacramento. Milwaukee's saying the same thing. We can't go through the motions. It may be 5 games in 7 nights for them. It may be the second half of back-to-back, but we have to play our A game tonight. And you give Boston credit. They did. The Kings looked out of gas in the second half. They were completely out of sync with the switching. And I gotta be honest, I think the Kevin Huerter absence is definitely hurting this team.
Don't even start that yet because there's so much meat there that I want to get to, and I know we're gonna have to.
But you don't like eating meat.
Okay, no.
You like eating basketball meat? You want the?
Yeah, if I could honestly, if I had a basketball diet, basketball soup,
Do you like
beam cream.
I was doing the plane like I'm feeding you basketball
no, and I
meat.
was creeped out by it, so I was ignoring it.
All right, we're going to break on the radio side for 60 seconds. We'll be back. We're always live on the YouTube channel page, the YouTube page, youtube.com/Sactown Sports 1140. It's Deuce and Mo with Chris Watkins, baby, on Sactown Sports.
Chris, I've had to talk him off the edge like 7 times, so.
Today? No, you haven't.
3 times.
I put a poll question up for the YouTube people. Hey, shout out YouTube people. Make sure to hit the thumbs up button and you're subscribed. The poll question, are you concerned about the Kings after the loss to the Boston Celtics? The options, yes, seeing weaknesses, and no, 5th game in 7 nights. 75% of the people who have voted thus far say, I know, 5th game in 7 nights.
Hey, guys, did you happen to see my text message?
Let's see your text message. I didn't.
The clock is ticking. Get off.
Did you see it?
Yeah.
Did you answer?
Yeah, I mean, we could do. Do we have a read for that or anything?
Yeah,
or?
Chris
Yeah,
has
so-
it taken
yeah.
care of.
Okay.
Perfect. I have to think of my Christopher Lott. I have so many questions about that band.
About what?
Hold on, I'll text you.
Andrew likes to let us know 5th game in 7 nights isn't it an excuse. All teams go through types of stretches and schedules. So, Andrew, I'm not saying it's an excuse, but if you don't think it's a fact, you want to dismiss it as a factor. I don't know if that's like an alpha thing.
It's Deuce and Mo.
Deuce and Mo.
Sactown Sports.
Deuce Mo on Sactown Sports, 1140, hanging out with Chris Watkins. I love anytime we talk about a game in 2023, if you even reference an angle, like I was like, hey, 5th game in 7 nights, that's got to be tough. That's making an excuse. No excuses. Everybody go through that. No, it's a factor in the game, and it's okay to acknowledge it. It's okay to acknowledge that, hey, the Kings offense isn't as good without Kevin Huerter. That changes things. No. You're making excuses. You gotta go ahead and
You
fight
guys,
through it.
you would factor that in even in a win. You'd be like, how impressive. They won after playing 5 games in
Yeah.
7 nights. Like it's part of the story
Yeah.
either way.
And
It's okay.
And to be fair, Andrew wasn't being
Oh.
an ass about it.
You're
I'm
good,
just
Andrew.
bringing him up because we're getting Morgan like posted something about
Oh
Kevin
my
Huerter
God.
today. It's like, oh, you're saying they'd win with Kevin Huerter? It's like, no. All we're saying is that like Kevin Huerter being there would have helped some things. Yama in the chat says classic Juice mocking the viewers. Yeah, we mock everybody. I mock myself. I'm an idiot.
yeah, he mocks me.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, but literally, it's a grind. This NBA season's a grind, and I just personally hate from an NBA perspective that they have 5 games in 7 nights in general. It's weird that the Kings played in all those time zones across the country, and then all of a sudden they have a back-to-back after a 4-game road trip. I just don't get it. It doesn't make much sense.
Scheduled loss. Is that what you guys call it? Yeah. No. So
Very unfair.
very, very unfair. So weird schedule, but at the same time, now they get their rest before the Phoenix Suns. I know we'll get to that in a little bit, but Deuce, you brought up before we went to the break about Kevin Huerter. We talked about that a little bit last night. Kevin Huerter being a factor, why is he a factor? Now, so many people attacked me today with saying it's not live or die by the 3-point land, and I'm like, hey guys. There's so much more he does.
yeah.
I know his defense isn't the most amazing thing in the world, but still as a high IQ player, what he can do in a team defense is still good enough. Now on the offensive end is really what I want to get to, Chris, because his movement without the basketball, his efficiency when it comes to obviously his 2-point percentage and everything. And Will Z Stats just put this up a couple hours ago, kind of backing up what we were saying about Kevin Huerter. He said Kevin Huerter being out is sneaky huge for the Kings inside game. Huerter's 2-point field goal percentage by area. Restricted area, 73.9%. Non-restricted area, paint, 56.8%. Mid-range, 42.1%. So you're looking at Kevin Huerter and what he's capable of creating even on the inside is so much more than just his threes, Chris.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And when you brought up Kevin Huerter, I honestly wasn't even thinking about him actually scoring the ball. It's just like the gravity that he has. That's really something that, the Warriors utilize with Steph and Clay a lot, is just, it's not even necessarily when he is scoring. It's just him constantly running around. You always have to keep it, have somebody on him, always, mindful of what he's doing, whether it's, curling around Sabonis for a 3 and they're trying to get their dribble handoff game, or, like you just mentioned, his 2-point game as well. Like sometimes he'll set up, oh yeah, I'm going to run around Domas, run around the corner and get a DHO. Instead, he'll kind of hit it a little pump and drive the lane instead. Like he's just, what he's able to do off the ball is so big for this team. And yeah, he has his deficiencies defensively, but he absolutely does add another layer, another element to this offense for sure.
Something we should talk about is the switching. We mentioned in the first segment, the switching was definitely a factor. Here's Domantas Sabonis talking about the issues that Boston presented.
They came out and threw something at us that we've only seen against them. They put smaller guys on me, switched everything, took us out of our pick and roll game, so it made us think, and we just got to be prepared next time, but better for that.
Domas, a big story of the game was turnovers. What could you point to one thing in particular that led to all those turnovers?
They were switching all game, so it kind of turned into more of an ISO ball, going one-on-one, and we didn't do a great job on the weak side moving or trying to keep the weak side engaged. And then there's one guy defending two people at once, so we kind of didn't help ourselves, in the first half. We still had our legs kind of, so we're making shots, but in the second half, it definitely hurt us more.
Yeah, and I think to his point, kind of that movement at times, you've got a rookie in Keegan Murray out there that, it can be inconsistent at times with how he plays. And then you've got a second-year guy in Kessler Edwards who, although I think has shown some nice signs that he's been a good pickup for the Kings, he's still kind of learning things. I mean, he's been thrust into this starting role with Huerter out. Before that, he was kind of barely playing off the bench, and before that he wasn't even playing. So when you have two kind of inexperienced guys in your starting lineup, you're taking on an elite team like the Boston Celtics that will throw different things at you. You could see why it would mess up the Kings.
Yeah, I think that's the youth factor in that starting lineup right now is something to absolutely look at. And it's something that a really good team with experience, you guys, would be able to handle and just do really well against even one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. But the Kings just aren't there yet. And I think sometimes our expectations for them now, especially since the All-Star break, after winning so many games, it's like, if they don't win this game, we have to like criticize everything and say what they don't have, what they need to change in the offseason, what they're not going to do in the postseason. I think some of these like this game last night, it was a wake-up call, a little humbling for what's going to happen in the postseason, what teams are going to throw at them, and whether they're going to be ready or not. Doesn't matter if they get screwed over like the first game, as long as they make in series adjustments.
Yeah, and I think they will. Number one, no back-to-backs in the playoffs, guys. That's the good news. The other good news, Mike Brown's really good at making adjustments. We talked about that the other day, just with like his experience, his coaching staff's experience in the playoffs. I imagine that they'll adjust okay. Something Chris was mentioning on Chris & Co. That's right before us from 10 to 11 on Sactown Sports. Thank you. Chris was mentioning the idea of maybe resting, limiting some minutes. I don't know if that's like wait until they clinch. They could clinch this week, and the magic number's still at 4. That number could go down tonight. I think there is something to that. Like, if you figure out you got the 3 seed, I hope that they're careful with this, where I still, guys like Fox and Sabonis want to play. I would just, can we get their minutes to like 30 instead down the stretch once they clinch? What was your perspective, Chris?
Yeah, it's more just the fact that they kind of they could find themselves here if they do clinch, especially. I think that would definitely be the time to really consider it. But where they kind of are too many games behind to catch the Grizzlies, and they're not really at risk of Phoenix jumping over them. And so they kind of just are set in that number 3 spot. And, with that, yeah, it sucks that you can't move up, but you also, it presents you with the opportunity of potentially, just a game or two. There's only 10 left. If you can just, or even like you mentioned, just lower their minutes. I just think it would be beneficial. And I talked about how Mike Brown has been really adamant that he believes that the reason why they've been so healthy and a big reason why they've played so well this season is because of how hard they work and how much they practice. But I also think, especially now, these guys are about to head into the postseason, and they've been busting their tail all year. I just feel like, a game or two more of rest wouldn't hurt anybody.
Yeah, and I wonder if they were kind of doing that last night intentionally with Fox. He only played 5 minutes in the first quarter. I think he played 12 minutes in the first half of that game. I don't know if that had to do with the combination of back-to-back and Davion had it rolling a bit. But it was good that in the first half they didn't have to lean on Fox for heavy minutes. Fox only played 28 minutes last night.
Yeah, no, it's a good sign, and I'm with you. I hoping we see that, and hoping we see the human beam less, and or just when they're up by a lot. So ever since we started talking about the human beam, we've seen him more and more, Chris.
No, I might have cursed that.
Real fast, in the chat, Mojo916 said Boston kept their starting lineup long after the game was secured. What do you feel about that? I kind of was sensing the same thing. It was like right around that, I don't know, 2.5 minute mark where they finally pulled their starters.
Yeah, I mean, hey, they maybe they were just like feeling good finally, and so they wanted to keep like going about it. But either way, that's what they ended up doing.
All right, we got more coming up. I did hear from sources close to the situation that we have tickets to go see Three Doors Down to give away.
Has the read?
Yeah, if you're caller 10, I think you can get hooked up, right, Chris?
That is completely true.
How about you make it
Live Nation.
official there, Chris?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Let me get this read off. Live Nation.
That's what,
We've partnered with Live Nation for your chance to check out Three Doors Down at the Hard Rock Live in Wheatland. That will be on 7/13/23. Yeah, caller. What'd you say? Caller number 10, Deuce?
yes.
Yes.
Yeah, caller number 10.
And you get
Get your
hooked
tickets.
up. Go see
Three Doors
see
Down.
that band. Yeah.
Go see that
Kryptonite.
band.
That's
they've got
it.
another song too. They've got
Nope,
another song.
that's it.
They actually 3 hours. They just play Kryptonite, different versions of Kryptonite.
Here without you.
We're gonna go acoustic now. All right.
Folk. Techno.
Let's bring in a fan from out there.
Yeah.
Our fan out there. Let's come up on stage. You used to call me Superman.
Yeah.
Alive and well.
You be there holding the hand. Ugh.
All right, coming up next. Well, bounce around
Won't
the
have
NBA.
that in
Yeah,
the,
it's like just cut right there at the read, please.
She was going at her singing.
My
obviously,
singing was
yeah,
awful.
obviously. All right. Also coming up next, we'll bounce around the NBA too. An update on Zion. Ja is back and more. It's Deuce and Mo and Sactown Sports 1140.
They didn't deserve a good read. It's
Oh, that was a great read.
Yeah.
you know, room for improvement.
Luke in the chat. Kings fans' expectations went crazy. We went from, is the playing good enough, or do we want to make the playoffs too? I'm not sure this team could win a championship this year, so that's a huge bummer.
That's hilarious.
Phone lines are blowing up right now.
Hell yeah.
Sheesh.
Oh my God. It's
Lot
probably
Three
because of
Doors.
our singing. Maybe it was better than I thought. I kept thinking they were that one. When you're gone, baby, you need to come
Yes,
home.
that is also them.
Is that them?
That
Oh,
is them.
okay.
Here
Well,
Without
that's
You,
the-
Kryptonite, and When I'm Gone are their three highest played songs on Spotify.
Oh my God. I always
Quite
get
a
them
bit.
in like Goo Goo Dolls and like Oasis. Like I feel like they're all kind of the same, except Three Doors Down is not anymore.
I do have like a real love for like early 2000s like alternative music. It was
Same.
like such an
Like what?
era. The Fray? How about the
Oh.
Fray? Come on.
Oh.
How to Save a
What-
Life?
How to Save a Life?
Is
Where
that all?
did I go?
Jason,
No, they have other
huge
songs.
Frey fan.
Who is Jason?
Yeah.
Oh, love
I
the
fuck with
Fray.
J. Ross.
All right, who else?
Well, you know, other guys and
Let me think of
other
who's
people. I honestly just like I used to listen to that Pandora station, all just like 2000s pop radio. Sometimes we'll have some.
who's the
Let's
one?
see here.
California.
Yeah.
Here we come.
I hated it. They put that was on a stupid commercial forever.
We've
Wasn't
been
that a
on the
TV
road.
show?
Yeah, it
yeah,
was.
TV
Isn't
show as well.
The
it
OC.
like 90210 or OC
No, the
or one of
OC.
those.
Those, I think it was called the OC.
What
yeah.
about Blink 182? Says John.
Well, duh. But that was like.
Oh, and like
the
Fall Out Boy
90s.
too, you know.
Oh my God, yes.
Blink 182 over Fallout Boy. for
100%.
sure. Okay.
But Blink 182 is like iconic 90s.
Do you guys
Like,
want to hear
that's
my
not-
impression of those band like
Yes.
that era bands?
Yes, I do.
It's a lot of. Yeah, yeah, I hate you, Mom. You never care about what I did. Yeah, yeah. I feel like it's
So
all
accurate.
angst. It's all very angsty. Oh, you don't understand me.
Wait, you totally.
That was great.
Why don't you make up a song and bring it into the show tomorrow while I'm gone?
Because you're gonna be gone. You know, you gotta be.
Well,
there
there's
for
next week too, bud. So start thinking over the
Give
weekend.
me some time to come up with lyrics.
Yeah. My mom hates me.
It's a lot of yelling going on.
Yes.
That was great.
Oh, Limp Bizkit.
Oh, dude, back in the day, I love Limp Bizkit. 7th grade Deuce. Oh my god. Keep rolling.
Have you
You
seen
guys-
the Woodstock '99 documentary?
I have
No.
not. I
Oh
heard it's
gosh,
good.
it is. It is insane. Just like all that era of music is in there, and it's insane. Yeah, Limp Bizkit definitely set the roof off of Woodstock '99.
I saw a story that when the Heat lost one game, Jimmy Butler started blasting Nickelback in their locker room.
Nickelback's great too.
Great.
It's a great troll, like
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at
Rockstar,
this
dude, come on.
photograph.
yeah. Look at this photograph.
We don't even know the name.
Rockstar. I
Rockstar.
hate that. I hate that I liked that song for a minute.
It was
Oh,
played
Rockstar.
so often. I remember it was
Yes.
played like 3 times an hour when it was at its peak.
Ugh.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those songs you're just like
Chad
"What?
Kroger.
I like that.
Oh, you know what's a great the song they made for Spider-Man? Is it called Hero?
There's a hero in it, a
Yep.
hero.
Yep. Banger. Certified banger.
Banger. That's Nickelback.
I think that's there's Chad
God.
Kroger.
Oh,
The-
who's Chad Kroger?
He's their lead singer.
Oh, but he did that alone.
Yes, I believe so.
Kroger.
Hero. Yeah,
Oh,
Chad
God.
Kroger and Joyzy Scott.
God, he was dating Avril Lavigne,
Oh, Avril too. Wow.
and
what
now
an era.
she's dating Tyga.
Get out of here.
No.
I'm Christopher Ladd with your Sactown Sports headlines. Domantas Sabonis recorded his 12th triple-double of the season with 16 points, 13 rebounds, and 12 assists, but it wasn't enough for the Kings, who lost 132 to 109 to the Celtics last night. For more on last night's game, check out our Kings insider Frankie Cardicelli's recap on SactownSports.com. Kings are off until Friday when they host the Phoenix Suns. You can catch the game right here on Sactown Sports. Karl Anthony Towns has been out for almost 4 months with a grade 3 calf strain, and for the first time since November 28th, Cat is expected to suit up for the Minnesota Timberwolves against the Atlanta Hawks. Timberwolves are currently the 9th seed in the Western Conference with a 36-37 record. It is 11:30. Time to check out Coastside Medical Clinic, who's dedicated to providing breakthrough remedies for men. Now more with Deuce and Mo.
Live and local.
It's Deuce and Mo.
Watch the show now on youtube.com/Sactown Sports 1140 or listen for free on the Sactown Sports app.
You should definitely check out the YouTube page because during the break we stay live and you never know what's going to come up. Somehow
Don't.
Chris was doing his impersonations of late 90s, early 2000s. Emo? What would that be?
Yeah, it's like
Like
a
Fallout
it's
Boy.
just
Punk.
angsty. It's
Yeah.
Alternative, I think was
Punk.
the it's
No, it's not
Oh.
punk. Definitely not punk.
What's punk then?
Not that.
Really?
Punk is like the Ramones.
Give us Chris, sing us a little punk so I know what it is.
Which Chris?
you.
Chris Verlade.
Not me.
Punk is... Man, you're putting me on the spot. No,
Uh-huh.
it's one of those things of when you know it, you know it.
You know,
hear
you
it,
know. Yeah, it makes so much
Oh my
sense.
God.
We do have some updates in the NBA. John Morant is coming back tonight against the Rockets. As Chris mentioned in his update, Karl Anthony Towns is back after missing 51 games. And then just word coming from New Orleans, Zion Williamson has been cleared to return to the basketball court, but he will be reevaluated in 2 weeks, meaning he's going to be reevaluated like 2 or 3 games left.
Okay. Isn't that the same verbiage that they used when he was coming back the first time around?
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
Following a reevaluation on his right hamstring, Zion Williamson has been cleared to return to on-court activities. He will be reevaluated in 2 weeks. God.
It's sad. I don't know how you feel, Chris. It's like, for me, I just want to see that man on the floor, but
Yes.
we're not getting it.
Yeah, no, that's exactly how I feel. I mean, I think when he plays, and I don't think a lot of people have been able to watch a lot of Zion games, he's already like one of the best 10 players in the league, and we're just missing a lot of exciting moments in his career. I mean, and as these injuries stack up, it's kind of like you don't really know if New Orleans is just being extra careful with him because he's got the body that he does, and you don't want to risk further injury because he's just not built like normal guys, or if it's just if his injuries really are different. I don't know, but I completely agree. I just want to see him on the floor because when he plays, he can really be like a very unique play. Like there's nobody else like him in the league right now.
No. I mean,
Maybe
it's like it's so explosive, but he's so big. But then he can also shoot the outside shot.
He can pass too. He's just really skilled.
Yeah.
He's played 29 games the last 2 years.
Right.
29 games this year. Did not play the year before that. His second year, he played 61 games. His first season, 24. Yeah. I mean, I agree with everything you guys say. I think he's one of the most entertaining players to watch when he's out there because of how big he is, how explosive he is, what he's able to do. You get to a point with him, you're just like, are you made to stay healthy?
Mm-hmm.
Like he is a huge player. He's a huge man. And then you think about all the wear and tear on his body from playing as a child. It's rough, man.
And
it's
his
rough.
style, you guys, his style of play, because it is so explosive, but because he's such a big body, that's why part of it's so unique, Chris, because we're like, who else is like that? Who else can do that? And I just don't think bodies were made to do that.
No, it's really not. And like, we're not trying to body shame him or anything, but he's a really big guy. It's a lot of weight. And like for the amount of explosion that he has, there's a reason why it looks so incredible when he does it. You're just not used to seeing guys, if David Roddy had a 45-inch vertical, it would be like, it just doesn't look right. It looks fake. So yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you guys. And yeah, it's just sad that he hasn't even really been able to develop because he just hasn't been able to stay on the floor for very long. But Zion is one of my favorite players in the league for sure. And it sucks that New Orleans is they need him. Like New Orleans, they'd probably be in that upper play-in area right now for sure if Zion were playing, if not even higher. I mean, there was a point this season where they were the number one team in the Western Conference, and it's been all downhill from there. So, they have the talent. It's just it really sucks to not see Zion play.
And his deal kicks in next year, 33.5. The year after that, 36, 38.8, and then 41.5. So
what do you think, like, what would his trade value even look like? Because if you're trying to acquire him, like, what kind of assurances would you have that he'll be that guy, especially for what I assume he would probably, warrant in return? It's just such a weird situation.
Dude. Such
Chris,
a gamble.
It's like the same thing that happened. Not the same, but in some ways, you think about Ben Simmons, the way that his contract was structured. Sure. But the reason why I go to Ben Simmons, it was such a risk. There was no insurance on, mentally, is he going to get to a place where he finds his confidence? It wasn't even, no one, I don't even think was truly thinking about what he could perform and do on the floor, because everyone's like, we've seen it. We know what he's capable of. He'll get back to that point as soon as he gets his mind right. Even with his mind not fully right, he's not the same player, even with his skill set on the floor anymore. And that Brooklyn took the risk. They didn't win that trade. That's for sure.
Yeah, because I don't know what kind of player Zion is if he doesn't have his ridiculous athleticism. Like, I mean, I mentioned earlier, he's a really skilled player. I think more skilled than people realize, but a big part of it is his athleticism. I don't know if he just doesn't have that leap, if he doesn't have that threat of getting to the paint as easily as he can. I don't know what he is necessarily in this league. He's kind of a weird position too. I don't necessarily think you can play him at anything besides like 4 and maybe a small ball center.
Ugh.
By the way, Morgan just got
a
message in the chat from Brad. Just got here. What's up with Mo's face today?
Hey, thanks, ass. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's called stress, and it's flaring, and it's eczema, and it's a skin issue that I have right now. So I have steroid cream on my face while I'm glowing in this freaking lighting. Brad, God, how's your stupid face? And I like you, Brad, but God. Own it, honey.
Yes, own it.
I'm trying. It's like I'm the same color as my sweatshirt.
That made you even more red by yelling that.
I'm gonna go put a mask and sunglasses on. I am.
Look like Jalen Brown last night.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Get a nice mask like that. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. Oh my God. I know. Society doesn't accept skin issues. I know.
All right, we need to talk about John Morant too. We just talked about Zion. Cat's coming back. It's Deuce and Mo. It's Sactown Sports 1140.
Kings had a winning season.
What's up, YouTube chat?
Thank you, Melissa.
I love that after we got back from the break, people started debating about Creed. Creed
I
was legit.
saw that.
They were sneaky good.
Yeah.
Who didn't like Creed for a moment? It's okay. As a kid, definitely like Creed.
Creed is what people think Nickelback is now, right?
Yes,
Creed
I believe.
was the first Nickelback.
Oh, Creed. No, not the movie Creed.
Creed was so much bigger.
Just Creed, and of course, the movie comes.
What an amazing movie, Creed 3.
Wait, hold on.
I have a lot of thoughts
Can
about my
you
Creed
take me higher?
Yes.
Okay.
My girlfriend loves that song.
What about the Miami Dolphins song?
With arms wide open.
Yeah. Wide open.
Yes.
The chat's wanting a Mo's Minute. Someone in the chat just mentioned that.
Ooh.
I don't know if my skin can take the breathing. I do need breathing. Okay, Chris, if you put on, thank you. Oh my God. Welcome to Mo's Minute on a Wednesday. If you're feeling it today and your skin is screaming out for help, help me. That's my skin that you hear in the background. Let's just all take a deep breath and we're going to breathe the bad toxins out of our skin in this moment. All right? All of us. You can't get me off your face. Okay. My skin is still talking. All right. On 3, we're going to breathe through our nose. I hope you like the color red. Out their mouths. 3, 2. All right. I feel better. What about you guys?
I feel like we should have played some Creed instead of playing that music.
We got a Paul George update. Paul George, after some imaging today, has sprained his right knee. He's going to be reevaluated in 2 to 3 weeks. So
that's positive, right?
Based on what everyone was thinking out there, the way it looked, yeah, I would say that's very positive. Although 2 to 3 weeks really puts him in a tough spot.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, when I first saw it, I instantly thought of Giannis's when he kind of did a similar, like his leg kind of bowed like that when he was in the finals. And I was like, well, we all thought it was over for him at that point, and I think he played the next game. So I was cautiously optimistic, but yeah, it feels like that's probably the best possible diagnosis for the Clippers. Ugh, only a game. Oof.
They may have to be in the play-in.
Yeah, I was just looking at him. 2 games. I mean, if things really go bad, they can fall out.
Stand by. Oh my God. Somehow we got on Creed and bad music from the late 90s, early 2000s that we all used to like, but now we go, did we really like that? Dude, Creed, for a second, I don't know. They were the hottest thing in the country.
No.
They were.
I think they were, Chris.
For the
hottest thing in the country.
It was a quick peak, but they peaked super high. You don't think so? Didn't they?
I honestly kind of agree with that, but also, I mean, I just remember them always being on the radio, and during that time, music radio, everything was just like, you call back in, to have them replay the song. I mean, that wasn't the song I would have them replay because
They played a Super Bowl halftime.
Really?
Whoa, that's crazy.
They were big.
Damn.
But they weren't on their own, right? It was like one of those ones with like a bunch of bands.
I don't totally remember, to be honest.
Let's see.
Did they even do the Super Bowl?
Maybe I made all that up. I don't
Super
know.
Bowl.
Anyway, we do have an update on Paul George. We're talking about during the break. Paul George, he went down last night in a loss to OKC. It looked really bad. In fact, he was like on a cart after the game. Well, after imaging, it's been revealed that he sprained his knee. So it's not as bad maybe as some initially feared. So he's going to be reevaluated in 2 to 3 weeks. Could the Clippers all of a sudden be a play-in team? Right now, the Clippers are hanging on to the 5th spot. Golden State's right behind them, 1 game back.
This is tough. I mean, obviously, way to state the obvious, Morgan. But truly, you look at this team that had Kawhi Leonard out for so much of the season, once again, as we thought he was going to be healthy this season and play with this squad all the time. I thought this team was going to grow, build something really strong together. You started seeing flashes, but then you just saw some other teams in the Western Conference that were playing better as a complete squad. Now, you have one of your best players go down for a little bit as we head into the postseason. It's not looking good where they'll end up. And I think a lot of people still believe that the Clippers are one of the true contenders in the Western Conference.
I don't. I'm out.
What's his name? He was just with JJ Redick on his podcast. He said Clippers, Suns, Nuggets, but Nuggets at number 1.
What's his face on JJ Redick's? Are you talking about Tim Legler?
Thank you.
I thought, no, this clip I saw is he said it was Denver, and then everyone else is suspect.
He did, and then he got to the end of the clip, and he said Suns, Clippers would be my other 2.
I'm not in on the Clippers. I think it's probably Nuggets and Suns. But dude, honestly, after watching last night and watching the top of the East, to me, it's Milwaukee or Boston's winning it all. Do you think any team in the West is going to be able to compete with those? I mean, maybe if you can try to talk yourself into Phoenix, Chris, where KD comes back and it just clicks in the playoffs. But I mean, I think that's a tough ask.
Yeah, it definitely feels like I would even throw maybe Philly in there. I feel like the top 3 teams in the East. Yeah,
you trust Philly.
I don't trust
Jim Harden.
I definitely don't trust Jim Harden at all. But I think that they're a tough out. I think if they were in the West, I think that they would probably be the 1 seed. I think that they would probably be the toughest out as well. I definitely agree with you. I think Phoenix is maybe the only other team that could sneak into that conversation when KD gets added. But no one in the West really puts the same fear in me as those top 3 teams in the East.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of us that cover and watch this league feel pretty much the same way. And I think that's kind of what makes the West fun, though, because you don't know what team is going to be what teams are going to be the true contenders in the West. And with the East, once again, you can name those 3 squads and it's going to be one of them. And I think even when you look at Philly, like you were just saying, the toughest thing about them is who can match up with Joel Embiid well. There's not a single team that can. But then you go to the other side of things, and Giannis Antetokounmpo is on line 1 as well.
Yeah.
Also, an update from Woj. Paul George is expected to be out for the rest of the regular season's 9 games, but his timeline for a possible return in the playoffs will be clearer once he is re-evaluated. So
kind of like the story of this Clipper era, isn't it, too? Just like they cannot get both of Paul George and Kawhi Leonard healthy at the same time and at the right time. It just always feels like one of those 2 guys is out, and it's mainly been Kawhi, but now I guess now it's Paul George's turn.
Well, it's time for Westbrook to lead him. Chris, this is Westbrook's opportunity. Let's go.
Yeah.
Hey,
did you see Russell Westbrook reaction after Kawhi's shot last night?
What, you mean when Lou Dort
Oh, yeah.
locked down Kawhi? Ooh. Yeah, OKC's a little scare.
Wait, what was Russ's? I actually didn't see
He had his
this.
arms up like, what are we doing? Because Kawhi was just
Kawhi
there's
did
no
dribble
movement.
the ball for 24 seconds.
It was awful.
You
It was really
guys,
bad.
I mentioned this to Deuce. I think I mentioned this to you last night over text during the game, but I saw one play down. It was the end of the first quarter, I believe. Malik Monk was coming down. There's a few seconds left on the shot or on the game clock. 3 guys came up on him. Trey Lyles, you saw this? Because we're Trey Bay.
He's jumping. He's just
jumping up and down. And he put his arms up and was like, And then I saw him a few times on the bench, and I'm like, he doesn't look as like high spirited as he usually is. And sometimes, hey, I'm sorry to use this as an excuse to anyone that's going to get pissed off, but 5 games in 7 nights, you just got back home and it's just been a lot. Maybe something was weighing on him with that. But yeah, I noticed his frustration too. And that made me sad because I feel like we hadn't seen that this season from the Kings yet. So
yeah, that Malik shot was kind of crazy.
It was.
There was
really
literally
crazy.
3 Celtics that like knew he was going to take that shot and like all swarmed at the exact right moment. I was like, okay.
I know you were at the Kings game last night, but were you locked into the World Baseball Classic final like our guy Frankie Cardicelli was?
So
Morgan, before the game, Frankie literally, we're chilling on the court talking before the game. Frankie has his phone out and he's watching the World Baseball Classic on his phone between, of course,
Is he
Japan
80?
and the U.S.
Is he 80?
Some would say he might be, but honestly, the World Baseball Classic, I feel like I love this year. Does that make people more excited about this upcoming baseball season?
No. No. I think it's kind of like its own entity, and I think a lot of people enjoy the spirit of the World Baseball Classic. Like, it is really exciting, and watching that, I don't know what year it was, but that Adam Jones home run robbery, like that gets me hyped for sure. But no, I don't think that this is necessarily going to translate into more people watching regular season baseball.
No, I agree with you. I thought it was kind of cool, the fact that you have 2 of the premier players in baseball, Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout, both rotting in Anaheim, by the way.
Yes.
Like baseball's like
biggest
2
games
most
of their
exciting
career.
players, and they're going head. These teammates are going head to head. And Ohtani said it was one of the best moments of his life. And I just felt like it was cool to see him get a lot of love because he is obviously such an incredible talent, and it gets lost in this 162 game season. The Angels have not been relevant. These guys probably don't get the love they deserve. It also goes to show you, I mentioned this the other day, like this tournament style thing, shockingly, it gets people invested. And sports don't, NBA, Major League Baseball, they don't want to be honest with themselves about things. And
College basketball too. You could say the same thing
honest.
about college basketball. Nobody cares about the regular season. It's all about the tournament.
It's all about that. And what do you look at? World Baseball Classic, the crowds were super into it. The games were compelling. Oh, the players were into it. And now they get ready to play 162 games. But why 162? Well, that's how it's done. We've done it this way forever. That's how we make money. Oh, but what if you do something radical? Like they have radically changed the game this year with some of the rule changes, but like shift the schedule.
I don't understand why it's so hard for people to evolve in sports and everything. It's like, if that's the direction things are going and you're seeing consistency there, don't be afraid of change. Everything changes. And guess what? We usually change for the better. That's how life works.
My thing with baseball for a long time has been the 162 game season just doesn't make sense anymore. It's too long. You're playing games every single day. Why does that make sense? Why? I know you used to do it. You've done it forever. So it's done it for 100-something years. Who cares? Who cares? I want the games to feel meaningful. Like Chris was just saying with the tournament, it's like it felt meaningful. How do you get people involved? Maybe you don't play games every single day. Football, part of it's based on the fact that they, almost kill each other every week. But it's an event. It's like once a week. So
exactly.
Anyway.
So annoying.
Yeah.
So annoying. Yeah, what, Chris?
How much of it is the longevity of it, and how much of it? And I think the real answer is it's both. But like the longevity of it, and how much of it is just like how much fun can you? I mean, some people are going to take this really terribly, but how much fun can you have at a baseball game? Like unless you're really into baseball and you care about the sport, like it's not like there's a lot of moments of, oh yeah, like let's get up and stand up and cheer for this play. I don't know, like. I'm also a semi-baseball casual, so I could just be.
I'm absolutely a cash when it comes to baseball, but I'll tell you this. I have much more fun at a baseball game, but I'm not a season ticket holder. I'm not going to every single game. I'm going to one game a season, or I'm getting bougie and going to a big postseason game for the Giants or something. Like I'm making it fun. I'm making it an experience.
I think the experience itself is fun. Ballparks are a blast, but I don't know, the game itself.
I went to a couple games last year, and I think I spent a total of 2 innings watching the game.
Right.
Wow. Did you go to A's or Giants?
A's.
Oh, well, there you go. But like you see what like the Savannah Bananas, like how they're, and obviously that's a little extreme, but it's an event. It's fun. It's meant to like.
I'm pumped for them coming to town.
They're coming. Yeah, they're coming to. Are they going to? Not Rayleigh Field. What is it? The
Sutter Health?
Former known as Rayleigh Field.
Sutter Health, I think now.
Yeah, like I look at something like that and I'm like, why can't baseball take elements of that? Just make the game a little more fun. It just feels like it's a little too buttoned up.
I'm with you. Well, we'll have fun tomorrow, Chris, when we're hanging out together. Morgan's not going to be here, so it's just going to be me and you for 3 hours.
Rowing out for 3 hours, 4 hours, talking about a lot of early 2000s pop and punk.
I don't know why anyone says 4 hours. Deuce isn't going to be there the first hour with you.
Oh, see.
No,
I don't think
he's going to be there.
You definitely don't have to be.
No,
that sounds like a challenge.
You guys are going to have. I wasn't
aware of that.
You guys are going to have Brendan Nunez, so it's going to be Chris and Co, and then it's going to be Deuce and Mo. But instead of Mo, it's going to be Deuce, Chris, and Brendan in that first hour. Then Deuce and Chris in that second hour, and then in the third hour, it's going to be Deuce, Chris, and Frankie.
Sounds like
you're
Deuce
welcome.
Deuce and Co tomorrow.
Deuce and Co.
Hell yeah. Well, Chris, thanks for hanging out, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate
I'm
you.
glad to get Christmas started off right.
Yeah, and Christmas continues. We have Chris every hour. We have Chris Watkins this hour. Next hour, Chris Miles, NBA TV. Everybody's going to join us. We'll get the national perspective on the Kings, the MVP race, and more. It's Deuce and Mo on Sactown Sports 1140.
Good job, Chris Watkins.
Thanks, y'all.
Do you and Kyle have any guests on Friday?
Not at the moment. I actually need to. I still need to hit up Kyle. I haven't hit him up yet. Just
talk to him about Boston, and he'll go on forever. He loves it.
That was exactly my plan. I think me and Kyle are for 4 hours though on Friday.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I'll have to get clarity on that.
I'm pretty sure you are. I didn't know about me doing anything for it.
I'm pretty sure it is my hour, and then you're 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, I'm more than willing to have you.
Yeah, I know you.
If you want to, I'll take the.
If we weren't so crazy busy.
Yeah.
The answer's no.
You're not even gonna be here, Morgan. Shut your mouth.
I know.
Yeah. Well, Chris, awesome. Appreciate you as always. I love that every day we're learning more about you, whether it's a Jay-Z impersonation or like your rock voice.
I think it makes sense with the music that Chris likes because he told us that he doesn't like music.
I just don't like actively seek it out. Like that, I know all of that music because it was played on the radio when I was a child.
You weren't listening to this. So what was his favorite show back in the day, Deuce?
What was that?
Reality show?
Jersey Shore.
Whale Wars.
Oh, Whale Wars. Yeah. Pretty great. Whale Wars is
What
pretty
about
great.
Ice Road Truckers, dude?
Didn't watch Ice Road Truckers. No, I did. I heard horror stories of Ice Road. I heard that's a tough job.
Melissa says your Mickey Mouse impression was hilarious. Is Mickey here by chance?
Oh boy. Let's talk about Malik Monk, okay?
It definitely has that South Park.
For sure. That vibe. Yeah, for sure.
I like it.
Chris is good to go.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Chris Miles joining us momentarily.
Yeah.
Happy birthday today. Chimeze Metu just turned 26.
Oh.
Just saw the NBA tweet about that.
All right, Chuck.
Another youngin'. All right. Bye,
All
Chris
right,
Watkins.
we'll be back in a second. We'll have Chris Miles coming up. Tweet that out. I'll be right back.
Oh, God.
You're good, Morgan.
I'm going to turn down the light a little. Kind of makes it worse. I could tonight. You guys, I'll be putting makeup on it for our Stockton Kings broadcasts. But it's like I just need to let my skin breathe right now. Oh my God. It looks. Am I dying? Am I dying? Namaste. 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 All right, chat. Why don't I see you on my computer? Hold on 1 second. All right. There we go. Okay. Deuce, where'd you get your shirt? I don't know what shirt Deuce is wearing otherwise. Is it a Kings zip up? He probably got it from the team store. These glasses make me look like Sarah Hodges. Really? Oh my God. I would love to look like Sarah Hodges. She's so pretty and talented and probably doesn't have rashes all over her face too. Brad, there's just something about you today. Just want to pop in there and punch you in the face. He goes, if Morgan dies, does Deuce adopt Bojack? Sure. Joe wants to know who Sarah Hodges is. We had her on our show the other day. She's with CBS 13 Sports. She's amazing. I feel like we look alike, except she doesn't have rashes on her face.
I mean, to be honest, I do think she's. Never mind. Better can't be mean to you today, Morgan.
I thank you. Like this is tough.
Thank you.
What?
Thank you. WWE. All right, here we go.
Business technology Toshiba's Sactown Sports.
Headlines.
I'm Christopher Lott with your Sactown Sports headlines. Sabonis recorded his 12th triple-double of the season with 16 points, 13 rebounds, and 12 assists, but it wasn't enough for the Kings, who lost 132 to 109 to the Celtics last night. For more on last night's game, check out our Kings insider Frankie Cardicelli's recap on SactownSports.com. Kings are off until Friday when they host the Phoenix Suns. You can catch the game right here on Sactown Sports. ESPN Adrian Wojnarowski is reporting that Clippers star Paul George has confirmed a sprained right knee, and he will be reevaluated in 2 to 3 weeks. Woj went on to say that George is expected to be out for the rest of the season's 9 games, but a timeline for his return to the playoffs will be clearer when he is reevaluated. It is 12 o'clock. Time to check out Coastside Medical Clinic, who's dedicated to providing breakthrough remedies for men. Now more with Deuce and Mo with our guest, Chris Miles.
It's Deuce and Mo.
Deuce and Mo on Sactown Sports.
Yeah, Deuce Mason, Morgan, Reagan hanging out on a Wednesday, talking a lot of hoops today. Super excited to catch up with someone. Talk about talent.
Ugh.
You see him on NBA TV. He'll do play-by-play. He'll host. He's beyond talented. And a huge shout out to him. He's been giving the Beam team some love.
Yes, he has. Yes, he
He's
has.
the one and only Chris Miles. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Great to catch up with you guys. You know, it was crazy interesting because I wore the sweater, you know, showing some love. And then we had Mike Brown on like 2 days later. And it was like, oh, a lot of Sacramento things happening here at NBA TV.
Look at you, Chris. I love it. By the way, thank you so much for the love. We've had so many people tweet at us, send us the photo and go, oh my gosh, he's wearing Deuce and Mo crew neck. So yeah, but I mean, obviously I don't blame you for wanting to have all these attachments with Sacramento right now because it's a fun time here. And you know, I got to know you a little bit last year or however many years ago that was now at the G League Showcase when we first did a game together. And, you know, I always had to try and stick up for Sacramento and they weren't doing well. Well, this year it's a little bit different. What are you guys seeing over there at NBA TV?
Well, it was crazy because not only did you have like a good G League team, good Summer League team, you could kind of feel like, all right, the pieces are here. They got to make some moves. I mean, what we talk about all the time, right? It's like, all right, how real is this team? And the disrespect that happened around Star is really when we started to talk about you guys a little bit more, right? Like in a sense, like, okay, Sacramento, Utah doing well early in the season. This is cute. It'll fade. Like that was kind of the reaction. But when De'Aaron Fox was not named an all-star off the top, it's like, hold on. We got to defend De'Aaron Fox, number one clutch player in the league. And that's really where the narrative for us, like on a national scale, became, hey, why are people not noticing what De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis are doing right now as a duo, and why is Fox not an all-star? There's the question. So anytime we went out to your games or anything, that's the first thing we're talking about. And I think that narrative kind of helped, right? Like if De'Aaron Fox was named an all-star just like immediately, then maybe it wouldn't have been this like controversial thing that we wanted to stand up for the Kings for this. So then it was like, hey, maybe we need to do a better job of letting people that are watching our channel know like how good the Sacramento Kings are. And that kind of became a thing. And having Mike Brown on the other day, he started to go on all NBA.
Yes.
You know, De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis, all NBA before we could even ask the question. So it was great.
Yeah, where are you at with that? All NBA. I mean, I feel like Sabonis is an obvious third team guy. I mean, you got Jokic and Embiid. I think Fox is a legit case this year for what he's been able to do.
Legit case would be a travesty if he's not. So here's the thing, right? Look at games played because that matters to me, right? And I'm all in on about 65 being the games played in an 82-game season for someone to qualify, first and foremost, right? 58 is too low. I think 72 might be asking too much for the current NBA landscape. I think 66 games, 65, above 65 is where I'm at with it. So De'Aaron Fox obviously qualifies there. But the number one clutch scorer in the NBA, a team that's, second or third, I know they're third now, but at the time they were second in the Western Conference. Like, yeah, De'Aaron Fox deserves that. And I think the clutch scoring is enough, but his averages are where they need to be. If you're the best clutch scorer in the NBA, you're all NBA to me. Somewhere in there, you deserve a spot, and we'll figure it out for other people after that. That's how I see it.
So what about Domas? Because obviously that's someone that, you watch everything going on around in the NBA. I don't know how much Pacers you were covering when Domas was there. Okay. So obviously things have changed though, and not having to be next to Miles Turner, being able to really find his identity with this King squad and this offense. What are you seeing from him this season?
Well, first and foremost, and I mean this with no disrespect to Miles Turner, Domantas Sabonis took that spot and was like, this is what you should be doing with it. Right? So let's understand watching that happen when Miles Turner was the guy. He was the guy they drafted, the guy they paid, that was supposed to be the real deal. And Sabonis kind of came over in a trade as like the extra piece, right? Like, don't forget that's how he ended up in Indiana. Like, oh, we can go, all right, we're going to move Paul George. We're going to get an all-star back, right? Let's see what this other guy like can bring to the table. So when I saw him go to Sacramento, I'm like, all right, he's a double-double machine. But then the triple-double started to pick up.
Oof.
And that's an indication of a well-coached offense. That's an indication of a team that understands to move without the ball. And that's what the Sacramento Kings are. I think his deficiency is the same as the rest of the team, right? He's not a rim protector, and this team lacks defense from that on. But I think offensively, he's an absolute juggernaut. And that's what we're seeing this season.
I think some Kings fans obviously are enjoying the season, but trying to understand, okay, like how real is this season? Because the Kings go from Vegas thinking they're going to win like 32 games to here they are, like you mentioned, the number 3 seed right now in the Western Conference, and they're going to end the playoff drought. How big of a threat do you think this team could be in the postseason?
Well, props to everybody that took the over on those 32 wins, right? I mean, that's an easy money. That's what we call that, right? I think for the Kings, man, I know they can score in the clutch, right? We've already been over that. I know they can outscore teams, but take this loss to Boston. That's what playoff basketball is going to be. Can you defend not the entire game, right? But can you defend when it matters?
Yes.
And I remember defending De'Aaron Fox, and you might remember this, Morgan, like 3 years ago. I was like, do you know he has the number one pick and roll? He's the number one pick and roll defender. Did you know that about De'Aaron Fox? Because people were like banging on him. I'm like, have you seen Foxy? Have you seen how good he is? Because the team's not good, but that guy's good. And people were like, Chris, he's not that good. I'm like, he is that good. Watch him. So I know he can do it defensively. And I know Off Night can do it defensively, but then I look at the rest of the roster and I'm like, who else do you trust? And I think that's a question maybe they have to answer in the offseason, because if you can answer that question, you go from, oh, great to break the 16-year drought from the playoffs to, okay, now you're contending. Because next year, if they're able to have a good postseason, that's going to be the question, right? This is the house money year. Next year, it's going to be, all right, can you defend? Now you got the wins. What are you going to do for us?
It's so true. And that's what we keep telling, so many. I love fandom of all teams. And I think Kings fans, especially, not only because I'm here, I've been a Kings fan my whole life, but you saw a fan base that hasn't seen winning for so long. So then the expectations were small in the beginning of the year, but people were still excited. And now that they're good, it's like, championship, baby, let's go. And it's like, all right, no, let's calm down. Like, how they're already ahead of schedule. And you're exactly right. The way that we see this team develop and what the tweaks that they need to make for next season to be better, especially on the defensive end, is going to make a huge difference, because you're looking at postseason basketball. We don't know right now where the Kings are going to land. I know the magic number is 4. They need those 4 more wins, and depending on what other teams do as well. So for you, though, when you look at the Western Conference right now, do you have a favorite in the Western Conference?
Absolutely not. This is ridiculous. So first of all, right, we on this very program, Game Time, 3.5 years ago, Candace Parker said, oh, Nikola Jokic should be in the MVP discussion. And I remember Twitter laughing at her. All right. I remember it happening clear as day. And I was like, I don't know what's wrong, people. I'm watching the same thing you're watching. And I see this guy belongs in the MVP conversation. My point is, I've been waiting for the Nuggets to just like be that team. Okay. And it just is not happening. And I kind of look through the conference and I'm like, when I say question mark, there is a huge blemish with every team. For the Kings, it's defense. For the Nuggets is, can we trust, them defending the wing? For the Suns, can they be healthy? For the Grizzlies, they have injuries up front and the John Morant situation, right? Like there's so much to wonder about every team. I would have said the Nuggets and I would have said the Grizzlies before Steven Adams and Brandon Clark's injury and John Morant, missing time. Yeah. So I don't have a favorite because I'm scared about every team. Like in the East, it's the Milwaukee Bucks. It's been that way since before the season started for me. Throughout what's happened this season, I said they're my favorite to win the championship. And if Chris Middleton can be healthy, which he is now, I don't know anyone that can beat them. But out West, I could see the Kings. Why not go to the conference finals, right? Everyone else has a question mark. Why not you?
Yeah, wow. I mean, it's hard to argue that.
I
know. I'm with you, Chris. I don't trust anybody. And I've had my moments throughout the year. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm in on Denver. And then you're like, actually, am I in on Denver? Is Jamal Murray like 100%? Porter is as talented as he can be. He could be wildly inconsistent, especially defensively. So you have questions there. And then with the Suns, I just wonder, even if Durant gets back, are they going to have enough time to kind of build that cohesiveness and try to do it in the playoffs? I feel like that's pretty challenging.
Well, I don't feel like they have enough bodies that, look, if you're going to go from April, we'll say 10th or April 15th, whatever date you want to use, to the middle of June without Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, or Chris Paul missing time, I don't see that. I just don't see that. Right? You can go look back the last couple of seasons. I feel like one of those guys, whether it's a hamstring or missing a series or not being, even 80%, that's the only reason that I'm not saying the Phoenix Suns. And because Kevin Durant in warmups, before he could play a home game, boom, goes down. So, I mean, it came to fruition, but talent-wise, it would be the Phoenix Suns, absolutely. Kevin Durant, Devin Booker alone, those two, and DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah. I mean, that's what's it's pretty wild when you do look at the West and you just talk about all the talent that is there that just recently came to the Western Conference. And even looking at the Dallas Mavericks, they added Kyrie Irving next to Luka. There's been a lot of health problems there as of late. Do you see anything with those two working out and having a future together?
Well, I'm very biased about the Dallas Mavericks because I have friends on that staff, right? So I kind of almost have those Dallas Maverick color glasses on all the time. It's gonna work out. Luka coming back is a big deal. And with Kyrie and Luka, you got two closers that are definitively not like, they can do it, but like have shown us over and over again their capabilities. But they gave away their defense. I mean, they literally, the guys that were good on the defensive end, they were like, all right, we're going to ship you off. Same thing to the Suns now. Mikal Bridges is Mr. Availability, right? They say availability is the best ability. They gave him away. But I look at Dodo leaving as kind of like, man, he was the glue guy on defense. And remember the Mavs run last year? They had the 5th best defense right after Jason Kidd came in. And you look at January on through the playoffs, and that's why they went to the Western Conference Finals. So I'm a little bit afraid of their defensive identity just not being there. But offensively, I think they can hang with anybody.
Yeah, I look at Luka and I feel like he almost needs another disappointing, like he needs a disappointing finish because I think he is as great as he is. I think he can be better, not only on the floor, but his conditioning. And sometimes you need to feel a little disappointment.
Failure.
To get there. And maybe this year is that year for him because I just look at him like he could be one. He's already great. We know this, but I think he could be so much better. What do you make of Luka?
I think from the way that he plays, he needs a roll to the basket big that plays above the rim. And really that's simple. Like, I know that seems like, Chris, really? That's it. A hustling play above the rim, like Clint Capella, obviously like the creme de la creme, would have been like Dwight Howard, but like that type of guy that wants to set the pick, roll hard, rebound, play around the basket. Mitchell Robinson, there's a lot of guys out there that you think of like, oh yeah, if he was with Luka, sky's the limit, but they haven't had that guy. And Dwight Powell is, 6'8". I mean, he's the same. I remember seeing Dwight Powell, like he looks like Smitty. He's about Smitty size. And Smitty was a 2-guard, right? Like they need somebody that has bounce, that can, finish plays around the rim. I think, John Collins' first couple of years. I know we haven't seen that in a while, but like just someone like that on the floor that opens it up for Luka. That's what I think.
Okay. Before we get to Coach of the Year.
Oh, it's Mike Brown, right? He's not going to.
Well, that's what okay. Actually, just go straight to Coach of the Year, Chris.
Do not even, you son of a...
So here's the thing.
He's got friends. This is what it is.
No. A lot of times when it comes down to the voters, there's sympathy for teams that have like had a tidal wave and still and I kind of look at Taylor Jenkins and I go, I think he's going to get the vote. Mike Brown 3 weeks ago, a month ago, I'm like, oh yeah, Mike Brown, obviously. But when I I'm just saying the turnaround in Sacramento is a great story. And I'm like, man, like the Grizzlies are second out west. Tyus Jones turned it up a notch. They had played without their center, without their backup center / power forward. Then they started the season without Jaren Jackson Jr. And then this John Morant thing happens. And it's like, they're still right there. So I think the voters are, I think it's going to be one of those two teams. I think you're either going to have Taylor Jenkins and Mike Brown. Here's the thing that Mike Brown does, and you guys know this. He's a media darling, right? So once you interview him, you're like, I like this guy. Check my vote. And Taylor Jenkins is very personable, but I don't know if he has that same, like, I like him feel when you're done talking to him. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, yes. For sure. And obviously that's going to play a part in any of these situations. But the thing that I will say too, this has to be one of the main things, Chris, is that Mike Brown is taking a team that has the longest playoff drought in the NBA with 16 seasons, and in his first year is putting them into the postseason and not limping in, not like playing and like limp, let's get in. It's like they are up there. And I
mean, they might have home court advantage.
And that's where I'm like, I do go, oh, it has to be Mike Brown, but it is fun hearing an outside perspective, because for me, it's like, oh, it's obviously no one else. I was thinking Missoula, if anything.
Oh no, I'm gonna save that one. I think I'll just say this. I think the Celtics have lost 3 coaches that they, whether you look at Ime Udoka, Will Hardy, and now Damon Stoudemire, and I think you're starting to see like some of that unravel a little bit. So we'll put that over here and kind of move that.
Interesting.
The narrative for Mike Brown is strong, and I think it might have like peaked a little early for voters. I'm not saying how I feel. I'm saying I'm trying to get in the mind of the guys I know that vote and what they say to me and what they might say in this situation. So I think it's a 2-man race, Taylor Jenkins and Mike Brown. I think Mike Brown, like you said, 16-year drought, the longest drought in the 4 major professional American sports, right? And a team that was just not on the radar coming into the season that no one expected, and a team, right, that didn't make a major addition during the season, right? It's not like they went and got someone in the offseason that's like, that player is the reason. No, it's the coach. That is the difference between this year and last year. So I think that all of those things point to what you're saying, and I think there's just going to be 2 guys, and it depends on what narrative you like more and who you vote for.
I have a feeling I know who your MVP is based on what you were saying about the Bucks. Are you leaning toward it being Giannis again, or are you putting Embiid there?
First of all, I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm the founding member and president of the Giannis fan club.
Oh,
I don't know
You're
if you knew
the
this.
oh
founding member?
my goodness.
So
I'm
you
so
can ask
glad to
anyone.
meet you.
Here's the thing. Now it's like people are like, what? Like how you just reacted. No, I was telling people about Giannis. You know how people go, no one predicted this. I was annoying people predicting this when Giannis was 19 and 20 years old. People were like, stop. He's not going to be that good. Stop.
Wow.
Yes, and Chris Miller, the play-by-play voice for the Washington Wizards. There, Nick Ashew, who does. You can ask people, and they'll be like, actually, Chris is not. He's not lying to you. He was telling us about this guy back then. So when I see what he's accomplished and the fact that he should be, I saw the odds for Defensive Player of the Year. Brooke Lopez, right, is favored to win Defensive Player of the Year. And we did the bet stream for the Phoenix Suns and the Milwaukee Bucks game. And Devin Booker caught the ball on the wing. You can go find it. I think it was in the second quarter. Saw Giannis. It was like, ooh, Mufasa, and threw the ball away. Okay. He just threw the ball away, like on the wing. This is Devin Booker. He caught the ball and was like, oh, not him, and threw the ball into traffic. And we were talking about it. Like, did you see that? Later in the game, he saw Brooke Lopez and was like, barbecue chicken, crossover, score. And like the point that I'm making is Giannis, you see these like memes. I think Mario Chalmers were like, people didn't fear LeBron, whatever. Yeah. Get into that. Do you ever see people's faces when Giannis comes out to defend? Oh, they're scared. Your favorite player is like, oh, not him. And that's kind of like Defensive Player of the Year is an award he should be getting this year. MVP is another award he should be getting this year. Just go look at points per minute in NBA history, and there's my case. And he makes everyone else better.
You're selling me.
He does. And I'm glad you brought up the point, because it's nothing against Brooke Lopez, because I think Brooke Lopez has done a great job. But his life is easier defensively because of Giannis, because of Drew Holiday. Like, they've got legit pieces on that team. And, Lopez getting all the love right now, and I admire that. But Giannis is unbelievable.
I agree. No, I agree. And I know you are obviously the founder of the fan club, but I mean, for people who aren't even fully in that fan club and would love to be, by the way, I totally agree with you in what he's capable of doing on the floor is just magical. And I hope that voter fatigue just doesn't get in the way with some of these guys and their talents. But one last thing, do you feel like people are leaning toward Joel Embiid right now, though?
I do. And here's my like objective, jokes aside take. There are 3 guys deserving of the MVP this season, right? Nikola Jokic, Giannis, Joel Embiid. I feel like to the victor goes the spoils. Whoever has the best record of those three players, right? The stats add up. They all deserve it. That guy should be your MVP. You look at games played, games missed. All of it seems to be in the same category between those three guys. Best record between those three teams. I think you give it to that guy in all NBA to the other guys and let them sift through it. But Nikola Jokic with the triple doubles, more triple doubles than Wilt Chamberlain, Joel Embiid, finally bringing it every single night. I saw I think George Karl and Gilbert Arenas were like, he takes plays off. I'm like, you're watching last year. Joel Embiid doesn't do that. This is no disrespect to Joel Embiid, but he's taken a bit of Giannis and added it to his game. So that's where I'm going with Giannis as my MVP.
I agree with you, man. This was a fun conversation. Chris, it's been too long, man. And we were like, last time we saw you, it's a G League showcase. We're so busy just trying to get through all the games and prepping and stuff. But dude, it was good catching up with you.
Thank you for taking the time.
Right. Well, Summer League this year, make sure that we get breakfast or something. I know it's like very busy for everyone. Breakfast, lunch, or dinner or something.
Absolutely.
And hopefully I get another Kings game. I had a couple 2 years ago. I don't think I had any last summer. So
hey, we'll take you around Sacramento if you get
never
over
know.
here.
NBA TV could be here in June. I mean, I don't know. Probably not, but we could dream.
My bad for not making that part of the equation. I'm skipping July, and you're like, "What about June, Chris?" Yeah. That's a great point.
Chris, thanks so much, man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks for having me.
Chris Miles, NBA TV.
Man,
such a good guy.
He's such a good guy. So talented, can do so many different things, and I just love that. Like, it's funny. Usually whenever you have a guest on, you kind of throw to them, oh, we're going to talk to you about this and this. But I always forget, you can just throw anything at people that cover the entire league.
He's in the league. He's watching games all the time. That's what he's doing. NBA TV there. You see him all the time with a ton of different people, too.
Yeah.
He's really talented. So we will take a break. We'll come back. He was talking about John Morant. John Morant did talk to the media yesterday. There's some stuff to talk about there. We can get back into Kings-Celtics. Plus, the Christmas Day continues. We've had Chris Watkins, Chris Miles, Chris Biederman from the B coming up at 1 o'clock. It's Deuce and Mo on Sactown Sports 1140.
It's the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason.
Goodness. Dude. I need to check something.
Hey, YouTube chat. If you haven't, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. Let's get to 100. Thumbs up.
How are you doing, Deuce?
Hanging.
Hang.
Hey, one segment at a time. One play at a time. One game at a time. We keep this moving.
One sentence at a time.
One sentence. I've had trouble with sentences today. See?
Oh, God.
Got a G League game tonight. Stockton Kings taking on Mexico City, the Capitans. We got Scala BCR playing for Mexico City. Kenneth Fareed. They'll be in Stockton tonight, and then Stockton plays Friday morning, 11 a.m. at Golden One Center. You guys should come out if you guys want.
Yeah, we won't be doing the show Friday.
Yeah, just a couple of things. Morgan will not be doing the show
tomorrow
because she is sitting down for an interview with Lindsey Harding, Kings assistant coach. And then Friday, we have the G League game at 11 a.m.
And then next week, we will probably have one of the Kings first, or Stockton Kings first playoff games. And so we'll keep you guys posted on that.
Stockton Kings.
Because if it's during the day, we'll be gone. My God.
Ryan, not in the studio today? No. It was a tight turnaround. We had to do all our charts, like prep work for the G League. And with all the Stockton and Sacramento games and this show and the podcast, we haven't had time. So like it's been like prepping for the show this morning, doing a little bit of prep. Then right after the show, got to finish the prep for Stockton and Mexico City.
Get
and then
ready.
Drive to Stockton.
Yep. Drive to Stockton, call the game.
Beamtown. I got my tickets for Friday's Stockton Kings game. Hell yeah.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah. Every show should be at home to save time. Yeah.
Honestly, It would save a lot of.
But it's also good to come in the studio, see Chris Verlod, Chris Watkins.
That's
the
no.
crew.
It's so true. It's like the only thing that like it makes sense. Like if they weren't there or something, it'd be like, no, this setup definitely is.
We can share off-air stories.
Oh,
yeah.
Corey says hair's looking fresh, Deuce. Are we gonna acknowledge that,
Oh,
everybody?
it's time to look. I got the red rashy face, and Deuce has. Deuce, you look way better than me for the first time in your life. How does it feel?
I don't know how long I'm keeping this haircut.
What does that mean?
Is that a great clip? Did you just say what I think you did, you son of a? No, I went to a barber and sat in a chair for 40 minutes and my butt fell asleep. I may shave it again.
No, dude.
Oh,
don't shave
it's
that.
my hair. You're gonna tell me what
I don't need to tell you what to do. I'm just
hair?
telling you, like, barf. Like you look like you had like no hair when you had it completely shaved. Okay. I would shave it down a little. I think that would look good. I just offended Deuce.
He just took off. He's gone.
He took off.
Oh, what is weird when you guys have that setup is I can tell when one of the dogs come in there.
I know the doors.
Like it looks like they're. I think we should set up like, hey, this podcast is haunted. Watch the doors move.
One time, Chris, we were talking about Deuce's grandma and like the door, whatever, open dogs, but then something fell off the back wall too after we were talking about it being haunted, and then something fell off, and we were like, okay, this is a little bit too much in 5 minutes. Do you hear that?
Yeah.
I think that's an ice machine. Oh my God. Yeah, should I put more cream on my face? I'm just getting like nervous. Daniel says Morgan is allergic to King's losses. Like you got, or maybe I shouldn't have worn this color that matches my skin perfectly. God. Let's see. Stockton Kings is a fun ticket, says Trevor. Got to get to more of their games. Dude, it is because it's an intimate setting. Like, obviously, it's in an arena. It's not a full packed arena on a Tuesday night. You know, better crowds come those Thursday, Friday, Saturday games. But obviously, we get to call the game at the scores table. And just like Bobby Jackson being right in front of us coaching. And every time, my favorite,
5 seconds.
I'll cherish this forever, is him turning around in disappointment at something happening. 5 seconds.
Sactown Sports.
Headlines.
I'm Chris Verlod with your Sactown Sports headlines. Sabonis recorded his 12th triple-double of the season with 16 points, 13 rebounds, and 12 assists. But it wasn't enough for the Kings, who lost 132-109 to the Celtics last night. For more on last night's game, check out the Kings insider Frankie Cardoselli's recap on Sactownsports.com. Kings are off until Friday when they host the Phoenix Suns. You can catch the game right here on Sactown Sports. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski is reporting that Clippers star Paul George has confirmed a sprained right knee, and he will be reevaluated in 2 to 3 weeks. Woj went on to say that George is expected to be out for the rest of the season's 9 games, but a timeline for his return in the playoffs will be clear once he is reevaluated. It is 12:30. Time to check out Cosign Medical Clinic, who is dedicated to providing breakthrough remedies for men. Now more with Deuce and Mo.
Live and local.
It's Deuce and Mo.
Watch the show now on youtube.com/Sactown Sports 1140 or listen for free on the Sactown Sports app.
You know, Morgan, I think if you cut me open right now, you can get an espresso shot from my veins. I think that's what's inside my body over the last month. It's Deuce and Mo here on Sactown Sports 1140.
Is it also purple?
No.
No.
It's dark.
Pure, dark and coffee.
I thought you bled purple.
I don't. Not this month. It's all this espresso color.
Yeah. No, it's definitely you guys, and it's so funny too, because like never complaining, but it's just more hilarious when you are going, and then you're like, oh, hey, let's not focus on like what I'm putting in my body. The things I put in my body have been coffee and probably what has caused all the rashes on my face.
Oh, man. We'll talk some more Kings coming up at the top of the hour, too. Kings lost to Celtics. They get ready for the Suns Friday night. A much-needed day off for the Sacramento Kings after playing 5 games in 7 nights. Chris Biederman from the Sacramento Bee, he's doing an awesome job covering the team. We'll talk to him coming up at the top of the hour about what went down last night between the Kings and the Celtics. And look ahead, the Kings' magic number's 4. It could be 3 after tonight. Dallas and Golden State, they play tonight.
Ooh.
And Luka's returning.
All right.
So get it down to 3. If I think Golden State plays again Friday against the Sixers, they can lose to the Sixers. It's down to 2. Kings win Friday. It's down to 1. And then they could clinch Saturday night
against the Utah Jazz.
If my math is right. And that could be wrong, too.
And if it is wrong, that's okay because it still sounds fun.
Yeah, exactly. John Morant is back tonight.
John
Morant is back tonight. He talked to the media yesterday.
Nothing illegal about going to clubs when you're on the road. Not the first NBA player to do it, not the last. Can you continue going out as much as you do? And like you said, keep the main thing the main thing? Or is that
my focus is keeping the main thing the main thing. So clubbing and all is not on my mind at all right now.
He says clubbing is not on his mind at all right now.
It's an ongoing process, continued process for me. Obviously, I've been there, for 2 weeks, but, that doesn't mean, I'm completely better. So, that's an ongoing process for me that I've still been continuing, since I've been out.
So a couple of things there, Morgan. He also said he didn't have a problem with alcohol.
Yeah.
And he says in that last clip that he is not completely better yet. It's an ongoing process. I think on the surface you go, ooh, maybe you need more time away. Then I start thinking, aren't we all just kind of day to day sometimes? Not all of us are great all the time, and you just kind of get through life. But what do you think about what John Morant had to say yesterday?
I really do like how he's handling a lot of this stuff. Like that can't be easy, especially when you're young. No, and I'm not doing this whole justification or sympathy card at all. I'm just more looking at it from, I'm just humanizing the situation a little. And, he wanted to look like a hard ass, have a gun, be drunk, do whatever, be cool with his peers maybe, or looking like a hard ass to his peers. And then you have all this thrown at you and reality is thrown at you. And it's like, oh, you got to come back down to earth. He's got to feel embarrassment. He's got to feel a little bit of shame with his teammates. He's probably feeling all these things and still being able to be mature with the way that he talks to the media about certain things. I know that Jalen Rose interview was more about fluff and just it's a controlled setting and everything, but now you're throwing more media scrums at him and he's getting asked these questions. And I think he's handling it well and saying the things about clubbing and everything. It's not on his mind. And obviously that's the right thing to say.
Yeah. And they played tonight against the Houston Rockets. He's on the home floor. He also said he was talking about the fact that, he's got to deal with going on the road at some point and dealing with the fans and stuff that they may say. Yeah. You obviously wish him the best for sure. I think the other challenge for him is not only to get back and going. They're playing without Dylan Brooks tonight. He has a 1-game suspension for picking up his 18th technical. They're still without Steven Adams. When's he coming back? Brandon Clark's out for the year. This Memphis team is hanging tough in the West, like Chris Miles was saying with his last segment. Yeah, they're hanging in there. But I think a few months ago, there was a legit conversation about them being a championship contending team.
Absolutely.
I don't view them that way anymore.
No, I'm with you. And I think it mostly goes to how they've been handling themselves. One, I that's got to be a little damaging to their culture, right? Just because of, and we might see them rally back from it. It might make them stronger, but at the same time, it feels a little damaging to the health concerns of these people. Brandon Clark with his injury done, but then Steven Adams as well, just that huge hit with chemistry and everything on the floor and just what is your identity. They've still been able to win games, but I think when you look at them as contenders coming out of the West, it just doesn't feel real.
I'm with you on that. Another star is coming back tonight too.
Who?
Karl Anthony Towns is back for the Minnesota Timberwolves, making his debut after missing the last 51 games with that calf issue as a grade 3 strain. He is back tonight for Minnesota. They're hanging right now in that 9th spot, I believe, in the Western Conference. They're 9th at 36-37. One thing on them, and I know Chris Finch is not going, their head coach is not going to get a ton of love for Coach of the Year. I think it's no doubt about it, Mike Brown. But you can argue like Finch deserves some love for the coaching job he has done this year. Not to win it, but like Cat being gone, the fact that they totally changed the team by throwing Gobert and Cat his way, trying to maneuver through that, trying to find a way to patch things together when Cat went out. And then what Anthony Edwards has been able to do this year, they're hanging tough with all that.
Yeah, I'm absolutely with you on that. I think he's done a fantastic job of just kind of still being a team that's in it in the Western Conference for everything that has been thrown at them. And what has been thrown is like even strategy. You get Rudy Gobert and Cat thrown at you, and by the way, now he's going to have to work with it again. We just had a conversation with Chris Miles. We've talked about this for a long time with Miles Turner and Domas Sabonis and why things weren't working, and sometimes it's just not going to mesh. With Gobert and Cat, why do they think the two big situations
it's not
still
going
to work there?
And this is the challenge, right? They opened things up tonight with the Hawks in Cat's return. It was a clunky fit before.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're asking Cat to come back this late in the year. Anthony Edwards may play tonight too, and try to make it work again. We talk about the Suns and, can they have this cohesiveness in the playoffs when Durant returns? I trust that more to figure itself out because KD is that elite of a talent and he's played with other star players.
Right.
And the fit's not clunky. The fit with Cat in Minnesota with Gobert is clunky. At times early in the season, Anthony Edwards was not involved enough. And so how do you find that balance? And I think it's on Cat it's not about Minnesota trying to work with Cat. Cat's got to fit in with what they're doing. And I know how talented he is. I think he needs to adjust expectations. I know he's going to be excited to come back and try to make an impact, but he's got to kind of fit into what they've been able to establish this year and see what they could do with it. I just don't think that team is going far at all with Cat back. And I understand its talent. People get on me all the time about Cat. And they treat it as if this is fantasy basketball. Yeah, I love Cat's talent. He's an offensive threat. His three-point shooting. But fit matters.
It does matter. I mean, yeah. And that's a whole nother topic of what happened in Sacramento for so many years. But yeah, and then I look at Anthony Edwards, who isn't going to be back right away with Cat, but when he does come back, remember what it was in the beginning of the season? There was clips of him off to the side, putting his hands up in the air going, okay, I'm just out of the offense. No one's dealing with me over here. Cat's just going to work and doing his thing. And sometimes that can be a good thing. Other times that just screws with the whole flow of the offense. And that's what seemed like was happening in the beginning.
I realized we were supposed to break.
I was going to do that to you, but it's whatever.
We got more coming up. Chris Biederman coming up at 1. We're always live on YouTube, though. YouTube.com/Sactown Sports 1140. It's Deuce and Mo. Sactown Sports 1140 and SactownSports.com. Free from Aggie says the T-Wolves are playing a keep away. Playing play and keep away from the Lakers, Minnesota's original franchise. Great knowledge. Josue, what's up?
Did you guys know Mark Jones was on NBA Today?
I did not know.
Today.
I did not know he was on NBA Today.
What was he saying?
I don't know. He's just talking right now. Talking Kings.
Mark Jones.
Mark Jones.
Oh, yeah. Mark Spears texted me again today. Were you here the other day, Chris?
I was watching.
Okay.
Oh.
So Mark Spears, by the way, never texts me ever. It's not like we have like a texting relationship. Out of the blue, what's the King's magic number? So I do that, blah, blah. This morning, what is it now? That's all he says. What is it now?
I clipped that audio for yesterday of him talking about that.
Oh, that's right.
And him talking about how he's in a rap song.
Yeah, dude. Hey, give him credit. Hey, can I give you one thing?
Yeah, I know. You're going to say
this guy
what?
Is one of the biggest trolls on King's Twitter. I muted him a century
I'll
ago.
mute him.
And you're just engaged. I'm just saying, it's just not worth it.
All right, there he goes. How do people have that much time?
Yeah.
Oh, there. Okay. Said my piece. Muted. Bye. I look like a dragon when I do that because I'm like red and.
I don't like that I do that outside of here now too.
Do you?
Yeah. I'll just take a second.
You're welcome.
Question.
Yes.
Should we do story time coming up next? I kind of had that there. Well, I did not. I had it. Yeah, I'm messing up today.
Okay, because we've Rami in the last segment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's do.
Is he prepared for story time with Chris Verlon?
Got quite the theme today on story time.
Oh, let's do it.
Yeah, Trevor, mute button
Kyle.
is sneaky great.
Kyle Ledbetter, I love you, man. But did you just say, yes, man, Ant is great, and they can make this work with Cat as a giant small forward? Cat can't defend, my man. That's not his position.
Deuce, I think you're forgetting something.
What's up?
Kyle is a great stand-up comedian.
Oh, dude. It's like an open chat for him.
We were talking about the beam cream.
Yeah. Beam cream.
Sounds like someone's making the beam cream, guys. Which is purple ice cream.
I think I'd be more of a fan of cookies and beam.
I agree.
Cookies and beam. Dun, 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 dun.
Basketball Reference. I saw our guy Daily Sabonis put this out. Basketball Reference. Western Conference playoff chances. Nuggets 100%. Grizzlies 100%. Kings 100%. Nice. Any update on that 6'9"? Oh, you're talking about Sasha Vezenkov? Yeah, he's killing it in the Euro League right now. The Kings went saw him recently. Let's see the poll question. Are you concerned about the Kings after the loss? 70% of people say no. All right, stand by.
It's Deuce and Mo.
Deuce and Mo on Sactown Sports.
Well. It's that time. Chris Verlon is back, and he's got darkness, I'm sure. It's everybody's favorite segment of the day from Chris Verlon. It's time for Story Time with Chris Verlon, baby.
We interrupt this program for an important announcement.
It's that time of the day where Chris Verlon gives you the stories that you need to hear. Or maybe not. It's story time.
All right, Chris Verlon. I can't wait to see what you have in store today.
I will say it's not dark, but I think it's stories that make you think.
Oh, I like it.
I can't wait.
Hopefully you're a little smarter in your day-to-day life after these stories.
Okay.
All right. Let's start with Westford, Massachusetts. This comes courtesy of WCVB5. Patriots Day is a big deal in New England. You guys know about that?
Sure.
I've heard of it.
Okay. So members of the 6th Middlesex County Regiment were practicing Sunday at the Westford Museum for their upcoming Patriots Day reenactment. So they're all dressed up as British soldiers and New England soldiers getting ready to talk about the American Revolution. Well, at some point during the practice, one of the loaded muskets went off and set a projectile through a 6-inch beam in a ceiling joist. Several people were inside the museum when the gun went off, but luckily no one was hurt. The Westford police were called about the incident, and the musket was confiscated from the reenactment group.
What?
Do you know what you're doing? Why do you have to have a loaded musket in that situation?
Yeah, but that's
it's a
so
reenactment.
confusing.
You're not really doing it.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, luckily no one was hurt. You can't see something like that happening on a regular basis, correct?
Okay,
That type of stuff never happens.
Where's this going?
Let's go to Riverside, California. This is courtesy of the Southern California News Group. A man in his 20s was injured during a Civil War reenactment at Jansen Alvarado Historic Ranch and Museum on Saturday. At 11:30, Riverside County Sheriff's deputies were called for a report of a man with a possible gunshot wound. So they showed up. The deputies found the man who had been struck by an unknown type of projectile from an artificial firearm. It wasn't a real gun, but something came out of it that shot the man. So it wasn't a real gun. It wasn't a real musket, but something came out that struck the man. The man was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. No arrests have been made, and investigators do not believe foul play was involved.
What side was he on?
That's a good. That didn't come up in the story, so maybe someone was really taking it seriously.
Can we just go back to like Renaissance fairs? Do we have to do like war reenactments?
Right.
Hey, let's reenact this bloody mess.
Thank
where
you.
people die. Hey, what are you doing this week? Hey, we're gonna pretend. I'm gonna pretend to be a Confederate soldier. Like, what is wrong with you?
There's so many other things that we could teach about history and like actually learn from than these stupid ass reenactments where people somehow have tools or fake guns that can still hurt one another. It is.
Why are we reenacting these really crazy? Hey, let's reenact the Titanic.
Adults are doing this too, by the way. Like adults are getting hurt, like playing with weapons. Like you might as well run with a pair of scissors, you dumbasses.
You wouldn't go to a Titanic reenactment?
Honestly, I'm intrigued. I want to see how they execute it. I do.
No.
So is that something that you guys would be interested in going to as a Civil War or Revolutionary War
Here's
reenactment?
my problem with those people. They get way too into it.
Yes.
They spend way too much on the costumes. They obviously have weapons that are too realistic. It goes too far. And why do they, what's the fun in it? Is it like just to go back to that time? Oh, that was really fun.
Yeah,
War.
I think that's what gets me is like people
Reenact
getting
the Donner Party.
excited about reenact the Donner Party. It's just like, why do people, I understand history being cool in some ways. Like I think and when I say some history, I'm talking about like historical artifacts and like there's like buildings and these things. But when you think about war and what war really is and the amount of innocent lives that have been lost through this, play fake war over there. Have fun, guys. Morons.
These people weren't like trained with their weapons. We should probably think that if someone was more trained with their weapons, they would be able to do things safely, correct?
You would hope so. Yeah, absolutely.
Greenville, South Carolina. Courtesy of WSPA. 3 Greenville County deputies have been disciplined after an incident of friendly fire left a deputy with an injured foot. Now, before I get started, what do you think happened?
Shot himself in the foot?
I think they were just playing around. They were on a break and they were just like, hey, you want to fire the weapon a little bit? I don't know.
Sheriff deputies were training with blank rounds during a controlled exercise. After the exercise, a deputy fired a blank round from a simulation gun at another as a joke. The second deputy responded likewise by firing back, but he forgot he already switched back his on-duty weapon and struck the deputy in the foot. Both deputies were given a 10-day suspension, and their supervisor was given a 3-day suspension.
This 10-day, 3-day suspension, they're really going to learn from acting like a child. That's what like a 13-year-old does. Like they're playing with a BB gun. Hey, let me shoot my friend. Adults trained.
Thank you. That you're supposed to trust with a gun.
Hey, I'm going to shoot your foot.
I hate this world so much. It's not even funny.
So who shot the sheriff? It must have been the...
It
was a deputy.
Been the deputy.
It was a deputy.
Was the deputy.
Yeah, it was a deputy.
It was the deputy.
That's ridiculous. And also, how they determined the suspension.
Yeah. Oh, man. A foot? Well, if it was a knee, it would have been 12 days. So
give him a 3-day weekend, and it's good.
How thankful is a person like, I'm glad I didn't shoot at his body or at someplace else.
Yeah, well, and it's someone else brought this up too, everything that was going on with the Alec Baldwin stuff on the movie set with him then getting involuntary manslaughter, I believe is what he ended up getting. And I don't know how many times now people don't understand, like, do not point any type of weapon, fake, real, any sort of weapon at anyone at any time in your life. Barely even a Nerf gun, people. Like water gun, maybe by the pool. Maybe by the pool.
As someone who has been in many airsoft wars, I disagree. Have you played airsoft war before,
I have
Chris?
not. What's the idea of it? Is like paintball?
Have you seen one of the airsoft they're like the little yellow things? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they hit you, they sting.
Didn't you do like a major airsoft war for a bachelor party or something?
In Oatman, Arizona.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was last year. In my 30s.
Okay.
It was fun.
You wore protective.
But laser tag, as someone just mentioned, dude, laser tag is legit. Back in the
Who
day,
has ever had a bad time playing laser tag?
Never.
You've never heard of anyone going, "Oh my god, I got shot by that laser and it hurt." No. I mean, the one thing you do, I remember being a kid, Laser Force, you're like, they tell you not to run, but you're like, I have to run around.
And
you
it's
just run into
pitch
people
dark.
with these big plastic guns.
I hated when I would like feel the like stunned by the vibration of the vest, and you're like, there's no way anyone got me. No way. Anything else, Chris? Any more people shooting fake guns at each other?
That's it. That's it for the day.
That's awesome. Great story time with
enjoyed
Chris Verlaud. Good stuff. Christmas continues.
Oh.
Chris Watkins, Chris Miles, Chris Verlaud. And coming up next, Chris Biederman from the Sacramento Bee joins us. We'll talk about last night's Kings loss to Boston and look ahead to the Suns game on Friday. It's Deuce and Mo. This is Sactown Sports. Qzar, dude.
I got a Kizar story. So it was maybe I was like 9 or 10, somewhere around there. My mom took me and my friends to Kizar. We're all playing and stuff like that. And she was the one that like, oh, if you guys are playing laser tag, I'm going to play laser tag too. So,
hell yes.
So you know how it's like, it's basically like the length of a song is like you're in there. And the big song at the time was the Mortal Kombat song. So you know that song, Mortal Kombat.
Dude, yeah.
Always, I swear they still do that.
Yeah.
So we go have a great time, like play video games, all that. We get back in the car, we're driving away, and my mom asked me and my friends, like, who was the kid yelling Mortal Kombat? It's like, what? She thought there was a kid that was just so amped up playing laser tag, just screaming, Mortal Kombat!
Do laser tag places still exist?
Yes, Sunsplash, duh.
Are you sure that
No,
still exists?
I said that with so much confidence, but I think
because laser force is not a thing anymore.
I think I've looked up recently that there is a Qzar that still exists either in like Concord or Fairfield.
Why do you think it's not as cool anymore? I mean, that was like when we were kids, laser force was huge.
Yeah. Oh my God. You guys, laser tag was amazing. They should honestly evolve laser tag.
And do what?
And just do like where you can see the lasers, like, Agree or disagree, Chris?
Agree.
Thank you.
There is a Qzar that exists in Concord that's only open Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays.
That's wow. That means, well, that makes sense too. Like, who can go on a Monday, Hey, who wants to play laser tag on a Monday? Honestly. Okay, water park, cabana rentals at Sunsplash, please. I don't see laser tag at Sunsplash, so I lied. Golfland Sunsplash, whatever. Are you into escape rooms, Chris?
We've had this discussion before.
Wait, when?
We've talked about it a couple of times. I get kind of freaked out.
No, I've never talked to you about this.
Yeah, we've talked about it before because I get freaked out because and then you guys are like, no, you can open the door anytime you want.
Yes, we did. Okay, you were the one.
Still the idea of just being like not able to get out.
Well, there's this one I did in Santa Barbara, and it starts with, well, you would hate this because obviously the door's shut. You can't even really see where the door is. And you're locked against the wall, like your arms are and everything, because or not your arms. I think two people, their arms were, and then other people just their waist. Because the whole theme of this room was like alien invasion, and you have to have the right codes for people to get your arms down so you can.
Oh no. I am 100% against that.
Oh my God. I'm reading some of your chat.
Now I'm just looking up laser tag locations.
Good. This is good.
Jazz laser tag. JAS. Maybe it's a Jericho Appreciation Society laser tag. In Rancho Cordova.
In Rancho, okay. Someone should just make like
They've got laser tag, laser maze, and beam buster.
Beam buster?
Yeah, that's what the Celtics were last night in Sacramento High.
Hey,
Deuce Mason.
Ayo.
Ooh, VR is now the thing. That's true. I didn't even think about VR. Yeah, VR is pretty crazy.
So listen to this.
Has a VR setup
at Jericho Appreciation Society laser tag. You get 3 laser tag games for $25.
How long are the games though?
Or 3-hour unlimited games for $39.99.
That,
you know what I want? I want them to. They need to do like. I want to be in a laser tag battle for 45 minutes.
I mean, you can do that for $39.99.
No, because the games it's unlimited. I don't know how long is it, like a 10-minute game. I want to keep going. I don't want to stop and go, all right, let's go through remember the training they would tell you to do, all the rules.
That was
which we wouldn't follow.
No.
And I would cheat.
Yeah, obviously, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. But I think the other worst thing too, if you didn't have enough,
8599. That's
my phone.
No, that's okay. If you didn't have enough people with you, you weren't shooting enough people with lasers, you know? No one
5
ever had that
seconds.
problem?
Chris is good to go.
Sweet.
Hell yeah.
Sactown Sports.
Headlines.
I'm Christopher Ladd with your Sactown Sports headlines. Sabonis recorded his 12th triple-double of the season with 16 points, 13 rebounds, and 12 assists, but it wasn't enough for the Kings, who lost 132-109 to the Celtics last night. For more on last night's game, check out Kings insider Frankie Cardicelli's recap on SactownSports.com. Kings are off until Friday when they host the Phoenix Suns. You can catch a game right here on Sactown Sports. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski is reporting that Clippers star Paul George has a confirmed sprained right knee, and he will be reevaluated in 2 to 3 weeks. Woj went on to say that George is expected to be out for the rest of the season's 9 games, but a timeline for his return in the playoffs will be clear when he is reevaluated. And now more with Deuce and Mo with our guest, Chris Biederman of the Sacramento Bee.
It's Deuce and Mo.
Deuce and Mo.
Sactown Sports.
Yes, Deuce Mason, Morgan Reagan hanging out with you on a Wednesday. Super excited to catch up with Chris Biederman from the Sacramento Bee, who's absolutely killing it. Covering the Sacramento Kings. Chris, no, you really are. I mean, obviously, I know you've been in the game for a long time. You did a lot of stuff on the Niners. Now you're focused in on the Kings. I feel like it's hard to be, and maybe it's not. Maybe I'm overrating your talent. I don't know. You crushed it with the Niners, and you're crushing it with the Kings. I feel like you're just a really good storyteller, one, but you ask really good questions, and it feels like you've been around Sacramento covering the Kings for years. You fit in like it's been perfect.
Well, I appreciate that. I don't love like talking about myself in those terms, but I will say like I got to be around a lot of really great people and really great journalists covering the 49ers, as you guys know. Matt Barrows, Matt Mayoko, Eric Branch, Nick Wagner. And, you know, so I've been lucky in that coming up in the business and covering pro sports, I've been surrounded by a lot of really great, talented people. And I've sort of learned to ask questions from them. And I appreciate you saying that because I think a lot about the questions that I try to ask. And I think it's one of the most important parts of the job. So I appreciate you guys saying that.
Yeah, I think you just they're very thoughtful, and you could tell you do take time.
You always get something out of it.
Yeah, and I think there are too many times, I mean, we're around enough press conference. You're like, okay, that was a really lame question.
Sure.
You're just asking a question to ask a question. And Chris, I feel like you have a purpose for it. So I don't know. I've just really enjoyed your work. Talking about last night's Kings game, did you feel like that was more of like a scheduled loss? I know the Celtics are legit, and I feel like even if the Kings were rested, it was going to be a tough game. But how much do you think that impacted things, the 5th game in 7 nights?
Yeah, I think it did for sure, but also like these things happen in the NBA to every team, and it's not the Celtics are playing their 3rd game in 4 nights, and they're at the end of a long 6-game road trip. So while it was a back-to-back, and the Kings did have to come back from Utah, they weren't the only team on the floor last night dealing with difficult circumstances. The Celtics were, basically playing on their home stadium, or their home city is at 10 p.m. Like they've been on the road for a little bit, so their body clock might have been a little bit more adjusted at this point. But still, a 6-game road trip for a team from the East coming out West is difficult. And yeah, like you're losing. You don't have Kevin Huerter. You have played a bunch of games. I have a feeling that the Kings players may or may not have been out in DC Saturday night. So before, and then returning to the practice floor in Georgetown on Sunday, and then flying to Utah and playing that game. So yeah, sure. Like you could say it was tired legs and a lot of that, but I think you could have made a similar case for the Celtics overall. And, from my standpoint, like to just write the game off as a schedule loss, I think glosses over a lot of the issues that the Kings had, right? Like a lot of it, maybe you're tired mentally and maybe you're not going to play with as much intensity offensively, but that doesn't mean you can't just try to move the ball more. It doesn't mean that you can't try to cut back door more often. Like Mike Brown was talking about all these things that the Kings could have done to combat the Celtics switching defense. And frankly, it was just, I think when it comes playoff time, that's a type of defense the Kings are going to have to be ready to go against. They're going to be going against teams that are going to be more locked in defensively, with more talent on the defensive end, with a lot of length. And we know, particularly in De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis's case, that like length can bother those guys. So I think it was, it's the Kings are 0-6 against the top 3 teams in the East.
Yeah.
And, the Philadelphia came in and beat the Kings in Golden One Center earlier this season without Joel Embiid and James Harden. And one of the things they talked about was just the physicality that those teams have, and the Milwaukee Bucks last week. Like the physicality that those teams have is sort of something that those teams have gotten more comfortable with and adopted because of their experience that they've had in the playoffs. And Malik Monk basically said it last night that, they've been there. They know the requisite physicality that it takes to play that type of basketball. And the Kings so far have been a great regular season story. And I'm not trying to take anything away from them, but it's going to be a different level when they get to the playoffs. And they don't want to be a team that just breaks a 16-year playoff drought. They want to do more than that. They want to build something sustainable, and they want to be a contender for years to come. So they're going to have to increase their physicality and be able to combat when other teams are physical against them. So I think it's been a pretty notable litmus test for them playing against the Bucks and playing against a team like the Celtics. And that, yeah, you could say it was a schedule loss, but like these are still opportunities for you to measure yourself against teams that are really top tier NBA championship contenders. And ultimately, if you want to get there, you need to play a certain way. And I think the Bucks and Celtics proved a little bit to them that you have to play a different way than you have been playing in the regular season if you're going to take that next step and become a true championship contender.
Yeah, and I think too, when you look at teams like the Celtics and the Bucks in these last couple of weeks, they played up. They came in wanting to make sure they were playing their best basketball against the Sacramento Kings. You saw the way that the Celtics played last night after their loss against the Jazz the other night. And we hear this story on The Athletic today that, Al Horford brought his team together, rallied everyone together, and was like, what do you guys want? What is your goal? Because if this is your goal, then this is how we're going to play. And of course, they did that right before the Sacramento Kings game, and they looked really good. And I think you're exactly right. It's a whole different game in the postseason. But I think one of my favorite things that I've seen from this King squad this season is that every time that they play a good team, it seems like they learned something new. Like they've made these in-season adjustments. Do you think the Kings in this amount of time headed into the postseason can learn from this Bucks team, from this Bucks game, from the Celtics game, and take on that experience going into the postseason?
Yeah, and I think absolutely, and I think that's one of the benefits you have with Mike Brown, right? Because Mike Brown, being a defensive-minded coach coming in and being somebody who's coached on some championship-winning teams, has an understanding of that level of physicality, and he talks about it with those guys. Like that's playing with a level of physicality without fouling is something he's constantly preaching to his team, and it might be a little bit tough because they frankly don't have personnel that typically lends itself to that style of play, right? Like you've seen some from Kessler Edwards. Obviously, Davion Mitchell can play that way, but you're trying to get guys to maybe play out of their comfort zone a little bit when you're talking about playing with that requisite level of physicality. And so that's really one of Mike Brown's biggest challenges. And again, I'm not trying to take away anything from the Kings or poo-poo on their season. It's been a remarkable turnaround, and I think they've far exceeded their expectations, but their season has been good enough now to where you recalibrate expectations and you say, okay, how do you measure yourself against the Celtics and the Bucks and the 76ers and those teams out east and the Nuggets and the Grizzlies? Like, how do you measure yourself against those teams? Because those are going to be the teams most likely that you're going to have to beat at some point along the road if you want to be a true championship contender. And that's like, and the Kings will tell you, like Mike Brown will tell you, the players will want to tell you, like De'Aaron Fox has said it a bunch of times, even when, you know, a couple weeks ago when they won their 40th game and you know, they clinched a 500 or better record last weekend in Brooklyn, when it was like, no, we don't. Yeah, that's great. But like no one before the season was excited about the idea of like, oh, we're going to be better than 500. De'Aaron Fox is like, no, my goal is to win a championship. And so there are still steps for them to take. And so I forget what your question is amid my ranting, but
no, it was just about like, can they make the in-season adjustments?
I think they can. I think Mike Brown knows what buttons to push, both tactically with his coaching staff. Jordy Fernandez is a really good assistant coach. And I think he knows sort of emotionally what the messaging is going to take, because he talks about this a lot too. Like the influence of Greg Popovich and Steve Kerr, those guys were just elite messengers in terms of how to relay the proper message to his team at the right time and the right message. And I think he's been really good at that. And it's why you haven't seen, you know, the Kings haven't lost 3 games in a row since the end of November, right? You have to go back to they played the Celtics and the Suns, oddly enough, which 2 teams they'll play this week. But so I think they do have that ability to bounce back, and they're a deep team, and they're a hungry team. And I would expect after a couple of days off that they'll be better come Friday and Saturday.
I thought Zach Lowe said something interesting this week, and I can't remember if it was on his podcast or the piece he wrote about the Kings, but he had mentioned that teams around the league respect the Kings, but they don't fear them, which is completely fair. And to that point, I think the good news with the Kings taking on the teams we're talking about, like the Bucks and the Celtics, who have been together for a long time. Their core guys have been there. They know each other. They know how to ramp up. They know how to play defense. These are championship caliber teams. These teams aren't going through the motions against Sacramento. And I just think, to what we were just talking about, it is so valuable for the Kings to be facing this late in the season, right before the playoffs start, because you're talking about teams in Boston and Milwaukee who are elite defensively, and Boston doing what they're doing, switching all the time. Not a lot of teams can execute that. Some of the teams in the West that the Kings may be taking on the playoffs won't be able to throw those types of looks at the Kings, but they're going to be throwing different looks. They're going to be trying to get Sabonis off of his game. They're going to try to throw different things at De'Aaron Fox. So I think it's beyond valuable for the Kings to face this. And I think this will make them better in the long run. It really will. And I'm with you on the expectations. Like, you adjust them, but I'm also realistic with this group. Like, we just talked about Boston. They didn't look like that year 2 with that group. Like Tatum, Horford, Brown, and Smart, they've been together for a long time. And I think the Kings have shown enough good signs with their core guys that they may be headed in the right direction, but it's going to take some time. And I am eager to see what it looks like down the stretch and in the playoffs when they face those different looks.
Yeah, and I asked Giannis Antetokounmpo last week when, you know, after the Bucks beat them, like, what in your mind do the Kings need to do to take the next step? And he just says they need to go through it. They need to go through a playoff run. They need to win road games in a playoff series. They need to fall down in a playoff series and climb their way back up. They need to win a game 7. They need to lose a game 7. Like these aren't like saying that the Kings are at a different level than these other teams that have been through those battles is not a knock on them. They just simply haven't done that. And in order to get to that level, you need to go through those things. Like the Warriors in 2013, they went to they beat the Denver Nuggets in the first round and lost to the San Antonio Spurs in the second round. And then they had the next year, they lost in the first round of the Clippers in 7 games, all before they ever won a championship or even got to the NBA Finals, right? Like those were necessary steps. And if you were to ask Mike Brown or ask any of those Warriors players, they would tell you they had to go through those lumps and experience those playoff failures and successes before they could really take that next step and become actual contenders. And so that's where the Kings are at right now. So I don't think it's, I see Kings, some people who observe the Kings get like defensive over the idea that like, they're not at the same level as Boston and Milwaukee. It's like, yeah, they're not. They haven't been through those battles yet. But when they do get through those battles in 2 or 3 years from now, and if the core continues to progress and the team continue to take those steps, then they'll look back at this time and be like, yeah, I remember when Giannis came in and kicked our teeth in, and Boston came in and kicked our teeth in, and we learned the physicality that it took, and now we can apply that to these playoff runs that we're on right now. That's where I think the Kings are. And it's a good place to be. It's a fun place to be, particularly for a team that hasn't made the playoffs in 16 years. We're not talking about them. Oh, couldn't they make the playoffs? Can they be better than the play? Like, no, they're like going to be a top 2, 3, 4 seed. And now we're talking about what they need to do to get to contention. And so I think that's the really cool thing about this season for them is that they're beyond those expectations that we initially set in September and October. And they can look at these teams and say, okay, this is what we need to do if we ever want to get on that level, because it now feels like a realistic possibility that at some point down the line, the Kings can elevate themselves and be among that elite group in the NBA.
I think one thing I brought up to Morgan earlier this week that can really help the Kings throughout this too is the fact that this is not like a young coaching staff going through this for the first time either, right?
Right.
We talk so much about players and how they adjust to the playoffs. Coaches have that same deal, especially coaches that haven't done it before. Mike Brown and his staff is really experienced. Mike Brown was doing some crazy ass defensive adjustments in the playoffs last year for the Warriors during a championship run. And I do think that's one advantage that the Kings have with this group is, yes, the players haven't been through it, but this coaching staff has. And I think that can help Sacramento.
I think it's why really the biggest reason why Mike Brown has so much equity in the locker room, because he's not just flying by the seat of his pants, hoping that he can replicate some success that other coaches have had. He's been on those staffs and he's been around those elite players, championship winning players. Like, how many coaches can say that they coached Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Tim Duncan? Like Mike Brown is in a very elite list when it just comes to the people he's been around in the NBA. And I think all of that goes a long way with the players and why they respond to him and why they feel like they can have that level of accountability that he's been instituting since he got there. And they always talk about the culture, the accountability, and it starts with Mike because Mike knows what it looks like to be a championship level team, a championship level player, a championship level coaching staff. So that's why I think there is such a high level of buy-in with the Kings. It's a combination of Mike Brown and the equity he's built throughout his career in the NBA, but also the talent that fits in terms of the system that they're running offensively. They need to improve defensively, obviously, but just it all makes sense now, I think, for the first time in a long time when it comes to the Kings. And I think that's why, like with Mike Brown, that's why it was such a good hire for them, because he's been through those battles. He knows what it's like to coach all those elite players, and the guys see that and they buy into it.
Something that Deuce and I were talking a little bit about last night after the game was not seeing Kevin Huerter out there and how he was actually missed. Like his presence was missed. And I'm going to read you this stat that Will Z put out there on Twitter about what Kevin Huerter's been doing. He said Huerter's 2-point field goal percentage by area, restricted area, 73.9%, non-restricted area, just in the paint, 56.3%. You know, so you see so much more than just what he can do from beyond the arc, right? He can be effective inside the paint and move without the basketball, which allows defenses to obviously have to pay so much more attention to him. Do you think the Kings in these last couple of games have missed his presence out there? And do you think it's something else that's going to make them just get better and better as they continue on this path, putting him back into that starting lineup instead of someone as young as Kessler Edwards?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the key reasons the Kings offense has been as successful as it has is they've typically had 4 good to elite shooters on the floor at all times. I would say Keegan Murray has been more or less an elite 3-point shooter. Kevin Huerter, at times when he's hot, has been an elite 3-point shooter. And then you have Harrison Barnes and De'Aaron Fox, who are respectable 3-point shooters, right? You saw at times last night, the Celtics just didn't really honor Kessler Edwards as a 3-point shooter, even though he made some early. And when you have to guard the 3-point line closely, when you're playing 4 guys out, that just creates so much more space. Whereas if one of those guys is playing on the perimeter and he's not a 3-point shooter that you have to honor consistently, well, that allows that defender to maybe sag off into the lane a little bit more, to maybe cheat towards the passing lanes, to maybe look at, play closer to the paint and be more conscious of cutters rather than forcing a closeout on an elite 3-point shooter. So when Kevin Huerter's been, I think he's been over 50% in March before he got hurt. Like he's been really, really good from the 3-point line since the calendar turned from February to March. So the Kings having 4 shooters that you have to honor at the 3-point line has been huge for them all season. And it really allows them to unlock the most from De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis, because we know Sabonis is such a good passer and such a good screener. And when he can do those dribble handoffs with 4 guys instead of just 3, that makes a big difference, right? And when De'Aaron Fox is dribbling and trying to make plays, and he has 3 other shooters at his disposal, or guys are cutting off Domantas Sabonis screens, like that's really when the Kings offense is at its best. And Kevin Huerter is a big part of that. So when you lose his shooting, it allows the defense to maybe compact to the lane a little bit more, not have to worry about closing out at the 3-point line as much. And it's just an adjustment that the Kings are going to have to make. And they're hoping, obviously, that it's Kevin Huerter is going to be back soon, and that this is kind of a small sample size thing, and they can revert to what they've been when he gets back into the lineup.
Shout out to Chris, by the way, because he was on most of that last road trip, right?
Yeah.
And he covered the game last night. This is supposed to be kind of an off day, and he hung out with us for like 20 plus minutes talking about the Kings. So thank you so much for being with us, man.
I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude. And we'll see you. Are you going to be there Friday night?
I will not be there Friday or Saturday. I'm going to a wedding. It's not my wedding. It is but my girlfriend is going to be in the wedding, so it's an important wedding. So I would only miss Kings games for an important occasion like that. So
good for you. It's okay.
Well, I mean, Saturday could be the time they clinch the playoffs.
Oh, so you have to leave.
So you actually have to leave the wedding to get back. If that magic number is 1 going into Saturday, he has to actually leave the wedding.
Well, the good news is the wedding is Friday, but we're giving ourselves a grace period potentially before. But if it is really important that I come back,
no, it's not. You have a playoff run to cover. You're good.
Yeah,
enjoy this.
Be hungover. Do what you need to do.
Yeah, we'll make sure that the batteries are charged for the playoffs.
Well, enjoy it, man, and keep up the great work. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it as always.
That's the one and only Chris Biederman. You could check out his work, sacb.com. He's doing a great job.
Like you said,
he's amazing.
Yeah.
And again, the guy that covered the NFL forever, he picks up the game so fast. He understands the game. He has great questions, produces great stories. I'm a huge fan.
Even when I asked him to come on the show, I was like, I know we just had you on like a week or 2 ago, but you're just so good. Can you join us again? So, enjoy talking to Chris whenever he wants to talk to us.
Yes. Appreciate him and his perspective on where the Kings are at. We got to talk about a busy night throughout the league, too. Some really important games to watch tonight. We'll be keeping an eye on. Ja Morant's back. Caddy is back. And Paul George, he's going to be out for a few more weeks at least. It's Deuce and Mo. This is Sactown Sports 1140. Thank you, Michael. Thank you so much, Michael. Roger, appreciate you. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Scooter says, I would be shocked if we see Kevin Huerter before the Jazz on Sunday. I would hold him out till Monday, but there may be urgency to get him back sooner in the locker room. Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty simple. With that type of injury he's dealing with, you just don't rush it back. If he's good, you play him.
Yep.
If he's good, he's clear. But I think he has a chance for Friday. He's been questionable the last couple of games, so I think with some more treatment over the next few days, additional rest, he should be good to go. But yeah, maybe he comes back Saturday. But God, they miss him so much, man. He provides a lot. His off-ball movement. I thought Zach Lowe did a great job kind of talking about his impact on the Kings offense in his latest piece. So
Yeah. And I thought Chris did a good job of breaking it down too, of just what it does for De'Aaron, what it does for Sabonis. I mean, it's why, like, I think we asked someone the other day about the big three. Is that whole era going to start going more in the direction of, hey, you got to make sure you have an entire solid squad, and talent is everything. But my goodness, when you have a team, a good basketball team that can play together and so many role players buy into exactly what they need to do to be successful in this league, beautiful basketball happens.
beautiful.
And success.
Question for Chris.
Question for Chris.
Yes.
Is Rami in today?
I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. It's fine.
We'll be
either
ready.
We'll be ready for whatever. But yeah, I know he missed yesterday. So.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
What did Domas do to the refs? Yeah, man, he gets beat up. I feel so bad for bigs in the NBA. Like they play and he plays so physical, but man, does he get obliterated down there. So what is the feelings about winning the division? I mean, I think it's amazing. And, you know, I don't think anyone predicted that, especially with when you looked at going into the season, you're like, man, the Suns, the Lakers, the Warriors and Clippers, you're not winning that, or the Kings going to be last. So the fact that right now they lead the
Rami
division,
is out
it's
today.
awesome. He is out today. Okay.
Okay.
No problem. No problem.
No, baby.
Oh, we got to play what Jalen Brown had to say about Sabonis.
Ooh.
I thought I had it. Hold on, I do have it. Let me add it.
Let him at it. Wow, you're going to add it like that?
I had it saved already.
Impressive.
Hey, thank you, Morgan. I appreciate you saying that. I love doing that to Morgan, where I just yell at her like that.
It's like a character on a animated comedy.
Hey, Deuce, where did
Thank you,
save
Daddy
it?
Deuce.
Thanks, Nate. Where did I put my Jalen Brown clip? Hey, Jalen. Brendan Nunez got it. Jalen Brown talking about Sabonis.
Hey, Chris.
Yo.
I saw something today, a post, and it was about something else that's happening in Florida, and it was about a new tropical mosquito has come to Florida. The buzz it's creating isn't good.
Great.
It's a little is known about the mosquito species known as Culex lactator.
That can't be good.
Can't be good at all. But it belongs to a group of mosquitoes known to carry diseases, and researchers are worried about what will happen. The mosquito is typically found in Central and South America. It's since spread to other countries in Southwest Florida. See ya, Florida. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Don't let the mosquito bite you on the way out.
Sabonis is a dog.
Oh.
Did you see Zion's new tattoo?
It says Mount Zion, right? Such a cool name.
Mount Zion?
No, Zion. Just in general. Just a badass name.
I mean, if you have one name and people just know you by one name.
Let's get to some more comments real fast. Scout says TD is a much better shooter than Edwards. Wish Brown would have started TD over Edwards. Yeah, I wonder if Huerter misses another game if he goes that route, just because I think it opens up the offense so much more, especially when you're taking on the Suns. I would think about that for sure. Especially you're putting Keegan and Kessler out there, two young guys in the starting lineup. Earl says it's so shocking to be a good team so fast. Such a rare jump, but much needed for Kings and Kings fans. Absolutely.
Agreed.
Here we go.
Sactown Sports
Headlines.
I'm Christopher Ladd with your Sactown Sports headlines. Domantas Sabonis recorded his 12th triple-double of the season with 16 points, 13 rebounds, and 12 assists, but it wasn't enough for the Kings, who lost 132-109 to the Celtics last night. For more on the game, check out Kings insider Frankie Cardicelli's recap on SactownSports.com. Kings are off until Friday when they host the Phoenix Suns. You can catch the game right here on Sactown Sports. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski is reporting that Clippers star Paul George has a confirmed sprained right knee, and he will be reevaluated in 2 to 3 weeks. Woj went on to say that George is expected to be out for the rest of the season's 9 games, but the timeline for his return in the playoffs will be clear when he is reevaluated. It's 1:30 Capital Casino, conveniently located on 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento. And now more with Deuce and Mo.
It's Deuce and Mo on your local sports leader.
Sactown Sports.
Zach Lowe said it in his piece this week about the Sacramento Kings, Morgan Reagan. Kings may not be feared, but they are respected around the league. And even after last night, the Celtics hammered the Kings. Jalen Brown. He had some things to say about Domantas Sabonis. You know what he called him?
Oh, what did he call him? He called him a dog?
Called him a dog. He said Sabonis is a dog.
Sabonis is a dog, man. I've been a fan of his game for a while now. You know how physical he is. And you know how he is, patient but deliberate, finds his guys. Those DHOs is tough, especially if you don't pick him up above the three-point line. If he gets too low, he can put you in a bad spot. But I think tonight we tried to keep him as far away from the basket as possible, and he still managed to affect the game. What, do you have a triple-double tonight?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, so Sabonis is a dog. I'm a fan of his game.
Ooh,
that's cool.
Future Kings guard Jalen Brown talking about his future teammate Domantas Sabonis.
God, those two together will be amazing.
Dog. Seriously, Morgan Reagan?
Yeah.
Yeah. I do think that's pretty cool to hear from Jalen Brown.
Uh-huh.
But I'm telling you, I was talking to someone before the game last night, and they were telling me the same thing. You talk to players around the league, players love Sabonis. And they're loving him more this year because they're seeing him in a different role, right?
Yeah.
Like we talk so much. Sabonis has been this talented. He's always had the talent. Now playing the 5, having the responsibility and the freedom to orchestrate the offense, to grab the rebound and push. He is showing what he can do out there. I'm telling you, it's going to attract players to come to Sacramento because of the style he plays. It's not just like, oh, he's a good passing big. He's a big. He plays hard. He wants to get his teammates involved. Those are all things as a player, if you really enjoy the game, you want to be around.
If someone can make you better as a player, why wouldn't you want them as a teammate? Why wouldn't you want to be around them? Oh, and on top of that, they also have a special talent just within themselves, and they can produce within the offense or even on the defensive end. It's not just about being a playmaker and making everyone around them better. Like, you can depend on them. You want to have reliable teammates, but that are also that have no egos. And you see this entire team, and it starts with Domas and De'Aaron, and it trickles on down. There's no egos. Guys are all about each other. I mean, it starts with Mike Brown and the coaching staff too, really. But yeah, absolutely, we're going to be seeing players around the league actually looking at Sacramento as like, hey, Not only do I respect them, I like that style of basketball. I want to be a part of that.
Dog.
Maybe not that part, but
Dog. Come on, give me a little bark, man.
Ruff.
Yeah, I want. Yeah, that's what it sounded like. More.
Cute.
He called Demonis Sabonis a dog. Give me like a Sabonis.
Just
dog.
because you can bark doesn't mean that any of I don't know how to bark, man. Ruff. Ruff.
That dog is dying. Whatever dog you just did,
Aw.
that dog is not doing well.
That's sad.
Well, that's what he sounds like right now. How old is that dog?
Chris, do you have a dog? Wow.
That was not real.
Yeah, I just go off the old DMX songs.
Wait. That
really
was that was not a drop?
No, that was me.
Wait, do that again. That was really good. That was kind of cartoonish, the last one, but it's a great dog.
Wow, we're stunned. Oscar worthy. Oh,
See, the bad thing is like people walking by have no idea what I'm doing in here.
They're like, is that dude okay? Like, what's
why is
going
he
on?
barking like a dog?
So Kings are off until Friday when they take on the Phoenix Suns. It's going to be interesting to see how they bounce back from having this time off, and hopefully Kevin Huerter can play. But you know, it's what we talk about with Chris Biederman. So true. Like, I just think these experiences that they're going through are going to be so valuable for them in the playoffs. Like, if they have playoff success, I think you're going to point to, those games against like Milwaukee, against Phoenix, against the Boston Celtics, that prepared them for what lies ahead in the playoffs. And it's going to be up and down the playoffs. I just know.
Yeah, where are you at?
There's some Kings fans who today are kind of freaking out because they've dropped 2 in a row, even though they're 11-4 after the break. Do you understand what people are going to do during a playoff loss?
Oh, God.
Guys, the Kings are going to lose playoff games this year. It's going to happen. It's about adjusting. It's about understanding that you're not going to win it. You're not going to be like the Lakers in the early 2000s where you got like almost undefeated or whatever. I can't remember if they did go undefeated.
But what I'll say that too, Deuce, I think you got to make sure you're being kind to people. No. And I say this, hold on. Oh my God. And he's already getting wild. No. And I just think because people's emotions with their sports team, absolutely. They're extreme, right? It's like, especially if when the Kings make the playoffs after 16 years of not making the playoffs, and there's a couple games there where maybe they're not going everyone's way, or there's a game at the end that doesn't go someone's way, like you have to have the correct perspective of the journey and of getting there and feeling that fulfillment of being proud and being like, okay, how can they build on this for the next year? That's why I think we just have to make sure we're being kind to people.
Fine.
Okay.
We got some games to watch tonight in the NBA. A lot of interesting games. Warriors at Dallas tonight.
Okay.
Luka is returning. Yes. I think Kyrie's questionable the last I saw. So Warriors are taking on the Mavs. Suns at Lakers. The Suns are still trying to get that number 3 spot. They're here Friday night, so we want to keep an eye on them. Ja Morant returns tonight against the Houston Rockets. They're going to be playing without Dylan Brooks. He's serving a 1-game suspension for another technical. I think he's got 18 on the season. And then Atlanta at Minnesota. Cats returns to the lineup after missing the last 51 games. So with Dallas and Golden State, that's great because the Kings' magic number is going to shrink tonight.
Wow. No matter what, it's going to shrink. And how cool is it though, you guys, that we can go around the NBA and when teams in the Western Conference are taking on each other right now, they're all important games. They're all games that we're like, hey, keep an eye on this one. Keep an eye on. It's not even keep an eye so the Kings can limp into the play-in or wherever they need to be. No, it's keep an eye on them because we're getting closer and closer to clinching a playoff spot.
You know, I think too, for me now, it's interesting because when they won 41 games, 40 games, 41, 42, you're like, oh my God. Now they're going to be in the playoffs. It's just a matter of when they clinch, and you just expect it. Is it going to feel kind of anticlimactic? Like, is it going to feel do you think we're going to still be emotional?
You're going to bawl like a little baby.
I don't know. I think I'm just like they're in. Like, let's go. Like, It's interesting.
And maybe
and it doesn't mean I don't appreciate it. I
No,
just
I
don't.
know.
I think I've had time to process it. I'm already thinking, all right, first round type stuff.
I cry about everything. So, I mean, not everything, but I think there's a lot of things with basketball that does make me emotional because it brings so much joy to my life. And with this, I think it will be like the end of the journey where I will feel the like breath of, oh my God, they did that.
You actually won't feel any breath that night because the fog machine is going to stay on the whole time we're on that night.
So many people are convinced that's what's giving me the rash.
Do not start blaming fog.
I'm not. No, I know what's giving me the rash.
Yeah.
My health.
Yeah, your health. Let's just say.
Rush. Everybody, rush.
JJ Sub says Wob is going to be in Sacramento when they clinch. I'm kind of mixed on that. I like him, but like,
what?
He's a Knicks fan. Like, you can. I appreciate you want to be here, but like, this isn't your moment. Like,
who cares?
No. I don't like people who are not a part of this ride trying to be a part of this moment.
No, okay. I don't care about that. Here's why. One,
it's not about you.
No. And I don't think that's what he's doing because I don't think
I'm sensitive to that. I'm just being honest.
He's definitely not one of those people. But also there was that one fan that tagged everyone in his video of being a bandwagon Kings fan because he grew up in this area of not really being having a team. And so he wanted to start adopting the Kings because they were so fun and everything. And he understands that it's our home, but that like he's there to be there
Fair.
as a friend and
That's
cheer on.
acceptable.
And I love it. But there's other people too, even with ESPN that I was getting texts the other day that they're like texting their producers, light the beam and all these things.
Yeah.
And so
A lot of people joining the beam wagon right now.
They are, but you guys, it's a beautiful thing that we can also pass around and enjoy with others. Think the world's a better place when everyone's collaborative.
Are we going out that night? The clinch?
Shit, yeah. Oh my God. Oh.
Chris, don't.
That's a first.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Morgan's ready to go out. Yes, yeah.
So sorry. Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. That was embarrassing. Okay, my bad. Yes, the answer is proper. Yes, we will go out.
Now Morgan is fired. You're probably not going to make it to the playoffs with that type of stuff.
Probably not.
All right, coming up next, final segment of the show. We got Cattles and Rami coming up at the top of the hour. It's Deuce and Mo on Sactown Sports 1140, SactownSports.com.
I'm sorry.
It's not a big deal, Morgan.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
God.
look, you're in the Deuce and Mo podcast studio, so it's we let loose on the pod a little bit, and you were feeling it. No, but that was
my
real. That
rushes
was
are
no, that was authentic.
I know.
It's not a big
no,
deal.
I know. Oh,
Just lucky
Yeah.
it wasn't something worse.
no. And I kind of stopped it where I was like, shiitake mushrooms. Ayo. Okay. My bad, you guys. Beam Town says, I only embrace bandwagoners, especially the kids. Yeah, I think it's like, I don't know. I used to be like, no, it's our beam. Stay away. There were people around that just were like, oh, I can get clicks off of this, or I can like hop on. And it's like, no. If you genuinely enjoy what's going on and you appreciate what's going on for the people of this city, this fan base, be my guest. Come on in, have a seat. Sit in the back, but have a seat.
Just don't stay.
And they won't stay. That's the thing. They're not going to be loyal to it. They're going to, but celebrate the joy with us. And it's like a party. You leave by 9 p.m., right? Like they're allowed to enjoy the party, leave by 9 p.m.
Ghost is back in the room.
Ooh. Hi, Ghost. Oh, Ghost. Where you at? Hi, sweet Ghost. Come here. Hi. Okay. Doesn't want to come over here now. Yes, Force Ghost Fabio. Yes, at least it wasn't that.
Ready to get your yoga on next week?
Yeah. Oh, dude. Do you need me to send you some? Dude, we might have to take off the 30th, the Thursday, for Stockton Kings playoffs.
Oh, just everyone has to be good right now.
I know. It's an exciting time. Yeah, but Wednesday, because I feel like Wednesday by then, Wednesday in the 12 or 1 p.m. hour, you want to try and do that, and then confirm that with me because I think we're gonna try and get some other people to come in studio too. Morgan's face just got twice as red.
No one heard it on the radio, just so you guys know.
No.
You guys only heard it on the YouTube stream. We have a dump button on the radio side. That
Another reason to join the YouTube
stream. Yeah. Unfiltered, uncensored. Deuce and Mo.
Oh my God. So yeah, we will be going out.
And that's the only reason. It's not like, oh my gosh, it was just like, oh, here we go. Can't do that on the radio.
Womp. Womp.
The FC, it doesn't make sense anymore to me because you can go anywhere in here. What? Is he saying something?
Chris?
It's Deuce and Mo on your local sports leader.
Sactown Sports.
Hey, Morgan Reagan.
Yeah.
How old is William Shatner today?
I feel like he's older than he looks.
Okay.
I'm going to go with 87.
He's 92 today. That shocked me because I saw Bob Costas turn 71. I'm like, I would have thought they were kind of closer in age.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that Shatner was 21 years older than Bob Costas.
Well, Shatner, each year, I swear we've done this where we're like,
probably.
oh my God, he's in his 90s. Well, I guess for the last couple of years then, but.
What was the show that introduced you to William Shatner?
Oh, wait, is he on Third Rock from the Sun? Was he on that one?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Was he?
No. I don't. I just know him from Star Trek, and I've never seen him on that.
I remember him growing up was that show Rescue 911. Do you guys remember that?
Wait, he was on that show?
Yeah, he was like the guy that introduced everything.
That's right. I do remember that from a kid. From being a kid, my mom used to watch that show.
Oh, wait, maybe he wasn't on.
I think he was a special guest one time.
Maybe that's what it was. Okay, so there you go. A special guest on Third Rock from the Sun. So stupid.
Yeah. Bob Costas, 71. Morgan, your mom's favorite, Reese Witherspoon.
Oh my God, she loves her.
How old's Reese today?
Okay, why are you looking? You're being an ageist toward the woman, the
I
guys.
was just trying to make you change your
Okay,
guess.
okay. I'm gonna guess 50.
47.
Okay, you did make me change it.
See? See?
47. Wow, still young. Oh my gosh.
What's old to you? Because I feel like it obviously changes as you get older. Because like back when you were like 20 something, you probably thought mid 30s was old.
Oh yeah. No, I think honestly, everyone knows I'm going to say this, but obviously our society has this weird thing with being like, I'm old. What's wrong with being old? 1, 2, like, no, truly, like what is wrong with being old? Now, if you're going to make me define what's old, like maybe you should go back and take your driver's test. I'm going to say 65.
So Jason's old.
Yes. But even though I don't even think 65 is old, but I just think there are some people who don't take care of themselves, their brain, their health, or anything, where it's like, no, they should be taking a driver's test at 65. And there's other people who are like 90 and have a much faster brain and body and everything than a 65-year-old just because they took care of themselves. So it's like, it really just depends on, it's not the number, it's what you did up to that point.
It's what's upstairs is what matters.
It is.
Okay.
It is.
Because there's some 65 G-Man.
Oh my God.
G-Man is how old? 103?
I would guess he's like 37 up there though. 103.
He's sharp. He's sharp.
Yeah.
Not everyone his age can do what he did.
No. He's sharper than me. He would, yeah.
Paul George, good news on him.
Yes.
I mean, as good as you can get.
Sure.
I mean, he's going to be out at least the rest of the regular season. After last night, you're going, is his career going to be done or something? But because he got helped off the floor with the knee thing, he was on a car after the game. sprained knee. He's going to be out for at least a few weeks.
Yeah.
And if he's not back, I mean, the Clippers are done if he's not back. I mean, that's all there is to it. They need him if they have any shot at winning a championship.
And I doubt anyone was watching the Clippers last night. If you were watching the Kings, obviously, but with the Clippers, he had one of the best in-game dunks that he's had. It was a 360 dunk, like a back door. It was within a play. It wasn't even just in transition on a fast break. Fantastic dunk, athleticism, everything. So then for him in the fourth quarter to come down weird on that knee, it just looked like it hyperextended. It was not good. And it looked scarier than what is happening here. And what sucks about it though, Deuce, they say reevaluated after that time. That's even more time. And how many times have we seen this with him headed into the playoffs? I feel like that's happened a few times.
I mean,
now.
that's the Clippers since they have signed Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Traded for Paul George. They gave up SGA to get him.
And look at that. Well,
can we give some love to OKC for being at 500? And they closed that game well last night. Final play, Kawhi trying to make something happen. The offense was stagnant. Lou Dort did a great job forcing a really tough look for Kawhi. They missed the shot. And OKC's back at 500.
Amazing. You guys, I mean, what they're doing, their strategy of building this team, the way that they've built this team, the patience that the organization has allowed them to have to build the team they want to build the team is incredible. And in some ways, I hope it works out because I do love showing other teams like, look, you can do it this way. It's not all about just trying to go out and grab the best players in this smaller market. You can develop together within your system. And the OKC Thunder are fun. I just think about like having someone like Josh Giddey who just keeps getting better year by year. Obviously, we know what SGA is capable of. I'm glad that he's been playing and they didn't just like sit him out and go, you know what, we're going to wait again. No, make sure that he's developing too.
Last 10 games, they are 4th in defensive rating in the NBA. On the season, they're 10th.
Wow.
SGA, man, he's taken a serious leap this year. You mentioned Giddey. They got Dort, Jalen Williams from Santa Clara. I mean,
Jalen Williams.
both Jalen Williamses have been good this year.
But Santa Clara Jalen Williams is now making a run for Rookie of the Year, even though everyone's like, oh, he still won't get it, Banchero. But like, why can't we put him more in the conversation? Like, I feel like people with Rookie of the Year convo, they pick someone and then that's who they ride with until the end. But with MVP conversation, it can change all the way up to the last 10 games. It could change all the way up to, what this player is going to do, really feel like they're going to do in a postseason. So I think when you look at Jalen Williams, it's just got to be one of those things where you have to make sure you're talking about him more. His numbers have been incredible since the All-Star break. Just a brilliant young player.
Is that a team you wouldn't want to see in the playoffs? In the beginning?
Honestly,
are you a little scared of them?
With that defense? Well, it's fun.
I'm not. I think it would be competitive, though. I think it would be much more. People, I think around the league, if you're not paying attention to OKC, you should check them out.
Yep, I agree. It's fun basketball, young basketball, inexperienced, obviously, when it comes to the postseason, which makes it even more fun that if the Kings were paired up with someone like them, it could be a fun experience. What?
And Earl in the chat brings up a great point.
What?
They have a lottery pick just chilling.
I know.
Chet.
I'm
a big Chet guy, and he's starting to do some on-court stuff. There's been video of him before games. That's scary.
Good for him, dude. It's good for just the way that they have built.
Double A, by the way, says, don't want to see OKC in the playoffs. Cry emoji. Stop it. Look, I'm not acting like, I just think it would be a tougher route than you would think. I mean, SGA is a legit all-NBA caliber player. They're playing some tough basketball right now, and it's not going to be easy. I mean, if you think you're just going to walk through the park with OKC, it'd be tough. But I mean, I would still pick the Kings to win the series.
I look at their defensive rating and go, oh, that's, that's a real, their defense is looking sharp. It's looking good. But it's not like I'm sitting here saying that the Kings offense can't break it down.
Also, they're not playing the Kings offense every night. And that's the other thing is we do have to acknowledge that even if we talk about their defensive rating, we have to acknowledge that the Kings offense has been one of the best Well, it's the best offensive rating in the history of the NBA.
It can break so many
Yep.
different defenses down, and that's why it was really interesting and humbling to see the Celtics defense last night throw something at them that they couldn't really break through. And I know we're not making excuses, but you're factoring in, oh, is it the second night of a back-to-back? Is it this? Is it that? No, you played a really good Celtics team, and that's what it's going to be like in the postseason, so you better find a way to break that defense.
Well, we're going to be back tomorrow. Oh, my bad.
Ooh.
Morgan's not going to be here tomorrow. It's going to be
Friday.
Or Friday. Okay. That's a good point. So tomorrow I'll be live with Chris Watkins.
Hey, good for you, Morgan. I guess this is your Friday, right? No more work for you, right?
You would think, Chris, but oh no, I don't not work until Sunday, so I will still be working.
You don't not work.
Wait,
Okay, that makes sense.
wait.
You're off
I am
Sunday is
off.
what you meant to say. Yeah, that proves you need a day off. Morgan's going to be off tomorrow. She's doing a sit-down interview with Lindsey Harding, King's assistant. I'll be back tomorrow. We got Kettles and Rami coming up next. We love you guys, but we got to go.
You have a great rest of your day. See you.